Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Close. I'm early. I said I was going to start coming on early. I am 2 minutes early. We are here. We are live. We got a lot to talk about. Thank everybody for being here. Big day, obviously, in the world of Robinhood. When I left, I think we had just crossed above 92. Folks, we are currently right now. See, I swear I did not. I did not even plan that, bro. It's just becoming a part of me. But we are currently right now, that one I did plan, at 93. 93.25. It has been a hell of a day for this one right here. Robinhood. We got a bunch of macro updates. We'll talk about Trump. We'll talk about Elon. He's tweeting. He's upset about the big, beautiful bill. Trump is happy about it. He's mad at JPAL. So we will talk about all that stuff going on. But my goodness, is just incredible. This is just incredible. 12% up on the day. We'll obviously recap what happened tonight with Tanner and Roy. We will do a much larger deep dive into the products that we got today. But it was a big day. This was the day that I think the street was waiting for in terms of seeing could they actually execute against the thesis that they had. One of you guys took the picture that I posted with Vlad literally on a chalkboard showing how they were going to tokenize the entire US stock market for Europeans, and you turned it into this, probably with AI, which is just incredible. Currently, right now, Robinhood is being seen as the winner in this market, and it has just been incredible to see them execute and do what they're doing. We have a little clip from Vlad right here on CNBC about an hour ago talking about some of these announcements. So let me pull this up right here, and we can see what he had to say. But obviously, very exciting momentum. We'll talk more about how this momentum is manifesting itself and why it's betting on it. And then we will keep going from there.
Vlad, I mean, so for those of us who semi-understand Bitcoin and crypto, I'm still struggling to wrap my head around the token thing. Thank you for making the time, and congratulations on a great event and everything you guys just announced. But can you explain what are tokens and why is this so different from the way that the system works right now?
Yeah, so in a nutshell, I think there's two ways to view crypto. One is as a tradable asset like stocks, options, and futures. The other as a fundamental technology that I believe is going to underpin the entire financial services industry in a few years' time. And I think this latter vision is more interesting. And what we've demonstrated here is the capability to put real-world assets on a blockchain, make them tradable, just like the cryptos you mentioned, Bitcoin and Ethereum, and leveraging all the benefits of blockchain technology. So from a practical standpoint, these are stock tokens of public companies like NVIDIA and Amazon and many others that are going to be available in Europe. And we also demonstrated the ability to tokenize private companies. So we gave away OpenAI and SpaceX private company stock tokens to our customers as well. And I think it's quite amazing. Sure. And I believe it will make it easier to invest in American companies if you're outside the world. It will also bring the markets into 24/7 and fully on-chain and get all the benefits that crypto technology levies on these traditional assets. So I think it's time to move beyond Bitcoin and meme coins into real-world assets that exhibit fundamental utility.
And the market's recognizing that. The market is recognizing that. 93.82, folks. I don't know if we go for the $94 close. There's only 11,000 shares waiting. Which means if it doesn't happen today, it's going to happen inevitably. I mean, when you don't have any major levels of resistance, that means that there's not a lot of sellers at these levels. They are ready to hold on. And if more people are holding than selling, and there's more demand than there is enough supply, the stock has to go higher. So, I mean, there is a real shot that 100 is on the way. Maybe not today, but hopefully before the end of the year. Maybe above that. I mean, I'm really curious to see what the price target's going to look like from the street. Even the most bullish of the analysts that had $95 price targets, I wonder if they go to 120, 130. Like, do they really expand the pie? And tonight on the podcast, we'll dive deeper into what the unit economics look like and why the street's giving it 13%. I mean, this is not just people chasing it to chase it. This is like, wait a second, they just changed the entire trajectory of their business. And I think that's what people are getting very excited about. Wow, 5 cents away. Do we do it? Do we do it? 94. We hit 93.95. This would be pretty incredible. I am not trimming. I'm holding my shares for those that are asking. We talked about this in the morning, but Tanner and I, we just don't see a need to sell. I mean, we're seeing the execution happen in front of us. It's about to do it. Oh my goodness. 94. Ladies and gentlemen, from 85 this morning to $94. We are 6 away from 1 hundo. Congratulations to everybody. It's been a hell of a journey. Incredible journey doing this together. $94 on Robinhood. Dude, this is pretty wild. Up about $11 on the day. I mean, it's one of those days, bro. It's one of those days. Even I thought the event was going to be bullish. I didn't know. The big thing about me for this event is that everything's live already. Everything's live already. And again, in the United States, tokenization is not here yet. Granted, in the United States, you don't really need tokenization as much as in Europe and other parts of the world, but it's live in Europe. This is Arnie's video buying Robinhood. He also got €5 of SpaceX and OpenAI. And so the fact that a lot of Europeans, I've been seeing so many screenshots of people getting approved for the account and then immediately trading. I think the street's looking at that and saying, all right, the growth is coming. We know the growth is coming. We know they're going to get a lot of bigger accounts, and the markets simply want to pull forward that growth right now, which is why we're up 13% of the day, 93.89. Let's see if we get that actual 94 close. I think we'll probably get a close above 93.50. But 94 would be incredible. Grab right here, 503. So we did not get the 5. We're probably not going to get the 510 close. We got 10 minutes left. I think we'll get a $5 close, which to me would be bullish. I do have one quick update on Grab. Someone sent me this from the terminal right here. Let me see if you guys can see this. Yeah, so this is from the terminal. Grab Holdings may acquire GoTo, aka Gojek. The report just says, according to some sources, Grab is a Singapore-based mobile technology company that offers ride-hailing, food delivery, digital payments, and may acquire GoTo. The two companies now need more time to agree on a deal after the Indonesian government proposed some conditions for the plan to go through. GoTo trades at a $4.4 billion valuation, but there has been no agreement with any party about the potential transaction. And it looks like part of the reason this came out this morning, we could be seeing some momentum right here, even though there's nothing in that report that's saying anything new, is just this broader idea that, there might be an acquisition coming up soon, which is potentially why the stock has run from 450. So that could be something to watch out for. Again, will they do the acquisition or not? I don't know, but Grab right here at 503. Markets might be pricing that in as well. Tesla right here at 318 did have a little bit of a rough day. We'll talk more about Tesla. Robinhood did get to 94.24. Wow. Just got right below 94. We hit above 94, which is not too bad. Pretty incredible. 93.99 right there. Palantir at 134.99, Tesla 318, and then Nvidia 158.43 as well. SoFi 1831, Google at 176, Grab again 503, Reddit at 149, Amazon is at 219. That's down about 2%. Meta was at 745. That's at 738. Again, we'll talk about some of the stuff going with Tesla. There she goes, right back to 94. I don't know. We got 9 minutes, maybe. Maybe we close above 94. S&P, are we at all-time highs? S&P is also at all-time highs. There she goes. There she goes. That's quick. That's like kind of in the last 2 minutes we got that all-time high. Microsoft trying to go for 500, 499.66 right here on Microsoft. S&P is at all-time highs. Google, unfortunately, down about 1.25%. SoFi, good momentum today, up 6%. I think bulls will take it, right? Above 18. It was below 17 or below 18 for the past couple of weeks. So getting that above 18 close is really good. Tried to get to 19, 1892, just didn't have the juice to get above it today. I would imagine, in the coming weeks, that's very possible. But 1829 on the day for SoFi. Nvidia right here, 158. Palantir also relatively flattish day. I mean, it's up 3%. It was up 7% at one point. 135 right here on Palantir. Tesla 318. And then Robinhood 93.85. Oh, Apple. Okay, so let's talk about Apple. So we got a couple updates to talk about in regards to Trump, Elon, and Apple. We'll talk a lot more about that after the bell. Tim is cooking. He is pretty damn upset about what the world has been saying about the company that, quite frankly, has more cash than most companies on the planet. And the reason for this is because Apple is now weighing whether to use Anthropic or OpenAI to power Siri. Now, I know that might seem like a stupid reason for Apple to pump, but the broader argument here from the street is like, okay, Apple's taking AI seriously. They're going to begin to realistically build out the models, whether it's Anthropic or with OpenAI, and sideline their own in-house AI tech. Talks are still early. The new Siri upgrade is targeted for 2026. If finalized, Apple would join Samsung in licensing third-party AI for its devices. Anthropic is reportedly asking for a multi-billion-dollar annual fee, rising sharply each year. So all the AI companies, whether it's Anthropic or OpenAI, are basically realizing they have the tech. Apple has the distribution. Apple desperately needs the tech more than they need the distribution, quite frankly, because Apple's stock is being perceived as a stock that doesn't know how to meaningfully work with AI. Again, this is just something that Apple missed out on over the past 3 years. They could have been training their own models. They could have taken early stakes in these AI companies. They just didn't have the vision to see that LLMs were going to be the way that people communicate. Or maybe they did, but they were just, not active enough in terms of realizing that this was going to happen sooner than what they thought it was going to be. And now we're here. So it is funny that the market's pumping on Apple. The headlines like Apple realizes they have to invest in AI. Market's like, cool, up 3%. But regardless, I mean, if you're an Apple shareholder, you're definitely not upset that Apple's getting a little bit of a bid right here. ELF is down about 1.16. Tessie, we'll talk a little bit more about. Palantir, 136, about 6 minutes left, 93.86 on Hoodie. Maybe we get that $94 close that we're looking for. Microsoft 500. Wow. All-time highs on Mr. Microsoft. Look at that chart. This has been one of those charts that really didn't move in 2023 and was relatively flat in 2024. This is the best year for Microsoft, I believe, in about 5 years. And compared to Apple, Apple had a really good year last year, Apple having one of its worst years, Microsoft having one of its best. Put in the chat if you're long Microsoft at all. This one doing great. This one outperforming Google as well. Again, Google had a little bit of a bid in the morning, could not hold on to it. Google down about 1.17%. NVIDIA 158. NVIDIA holding 158 to me is really bullish, even if NVIDIA is not cracking that 160 yet. And then you got Hoodie, 5 minutes. Hopefully we'll get that 93.50 close as well. Dude, not bad. What a day. What a freaking day. I mean, we had the one company that a lot of us have been following and paying attention to for a long time make its move. I mean, obviously it was up a lot this year, but market really recognized what they were going for today. Giving it momentum. Microsoft all-time highs, S&P 500 all-time highs. I mean, again, the question becomes, what is that bear case? And there are some theories that I read about today that could be theoretically bearish, and we'll talk more about them, but it's just hard to see the more obvious ones, which is, why they might not be that obvious, especially because, again, they're backed up by earnings growth. Microsoft's going to put up earnings growth. Robinhood is going to put up earnings growth. And when these companies put up earnings, the market tends to give that a premium. Elon right here talking more about politics. He says, it is obvious with the insane spending of this bill, which increases the debt ceiling by a record $5 trillion, that we live in a one-party country, the Porky Pig Party. Time for a new political party that actually cares about the people. I love Elon. I'm an Elon fan. This guy is incredible. I personally do not believe a new political party would be feasible in the United States. I mean, guys, if we're going to be honest, like, he tried with Doge and he had every level of permission you could imagine to go do what he wanted with Doge, and it didn't work. Like, it just didn't work, right? Like, maybe and it's not even his fault. There's a lot of bureaucracy but it didn't work. So the idea of creating a new political system and having, you would need at least 60 to 80 million people to vote for that over the Democrats or Republicans. It's possible. I just think if he actually pursues it, it's going to take a lot of time away from Tesla, because who's going to run the political party? It's going to be Elon. Who's going to fund it? It's going to be Elon, which means he's going to campaign for it, right? So it's going to be this whole new thing that he goes on, which I don't know if Tesla shareholders will. Maybe that's also why Tesla's down a little bit on the day. I mean, maybe that idea of him saying, hey, we need a new political party is him insinuating we need to create something new. I don't know if that's the actual reason. I think it's more about deliveries, but like that in and of itself, I don't think is the smartest idea. And then number two, personally, I just don't believe we can get a new political party. We've tried to do this many times in this country. It doesn't work. It ends up being Democrat or Republican. And I try not to be as idealistic about that as a concept. But regardless, this bill is going to get passed. So I kind of don't even know why he's tweeting about it. I mean, maybe he's just frustrated. But like, even if you do some cuts on the edges, we are going to be spending a lot of money in this bill. The markets have priced it in. The bond yields have priced it in. Everyone knows it's happening. It's just a question of how many days until they get that final vote. And when it does happen, the markets are going to have to ultimately perceive what this means for not only for the economy, but obviously for the debt crisis and what it means for growth. Now, that company that Tom Lee decided to become the chairman of to create an ETH treasury, if you chased it today, congrats. It's up 700%. I mean, It is what it is, bro. It is what it is. I am not chasing any of these names. Big Bear AI is that one holding on. That one's up 16%. Okay, so not high. It was like at 750 or something, 720 in the morning. So that one's taking a little bit of a breather. Still up 16%. Not bad. But BMNR, you could have bought it at 5 all the way to like 25 today and still got over. I mean, you could have bought it at 30. It still would be up. So it's like either this collapses or Ethereum treasuries are the new way to go. SBET, did that get a bid today? That was the original Ethereum treasury. That's up 6%. So getting a little bit of a sympathy bid, I think, from the Tom Lee company that was announced today. But regardless, pretty incredible. Pretty damn incredible. Triple V, thank you for the $100 super chat. Triple V has about 4 million shares of Hood. So he's up about $40 million today. If you take the number of dollars Hood is up and multiplied by the number of shares. So a little 40 million day, not that big of a deal. Kind of nice. So there you go. 93.68 on Hoodie. We got about a minute until the market closes. We got a bunch of other headlines that we'll talk about as we get into the market close. It looks like we're going to get a 93.50 close on Hoodie. SoFi 18.23. HIMS basically flat on the day, up a little bit. Pounds are up 4%. AMD is down 1%. Grab looks like it's going to get a $5 close as well, which is going to be very nice to see. Triple V did go long Grab, 1 million shares at 478. So he still has his Grab as well. And it looks like we're going to get this 93.50 close. Yep, it looks like it's happening, folks. All right, here we go. What a day for Robinhood. A lot to analyze. We will get deeper into it in just a minute as we end out the market close. Here we go, folks. 93.65 on the close. Thank you all for being here. Stock market is now closed. One of those days for Hoodie. One of those days, 93.60, up 12.77%. That was the actual close that we got on Robinhood. It is just incredible, dude. It is nothing short of incredible. Pounds are right here, 136. That's up about 4.2%. Tessie down about 2%, 317. Nvidia 157. That was down a little red on the day. AMD down about 1%. S&P all-time highs hit 619, very close to 6,200. 617 currently right now, up about 0.5%. Grab got the $5 close in what seems like about a month and a half. So this was important. Last time it got the $5 close, it was on some random article that was like a rumor about some sovereign wealth fund in Indonesia. It went up and then it came all the way back down. So like there wasn't anything sustainable there. This one looks a lot more healthy, a lot more mature. Grab right here, 504. Reddit up 5% on the day, 150. Amazon down about 2%. Meta up 0.5%. Again, the big Meta news this morning was that they took a lot of the OpenAI researchers, I believe 8 of them. I don't know how much they paid them, but they probably paid a lot of money. It caused the OpenAI executives to put out a message to the entire company saying that they're not going to stand by and watch this happen. But Meta right here, 738, up about 0.5%. Apple 205, exploring using Claude and OpenAI in their new models. That's why the street got excited. SMCI right here up about 3%. Bitcoin 107. TLT was actually up a little bit on the day. So I guess, the 10-year 4.25. So that one came down. AppLovin up about 5%. Circle up about 2%. Pinterest flat on the day. Where was MicroStrategy? 403. Wow, MicroStrategy above 500. Oh, that's why Misty was up. I was wondering why Misty was above 22. Yeah, likely because of MicroStrategy right there. So Misty, I do have 500 shares of Misty, so holding it as a income generation vehicle. And I'll keep you guys updated on how that goes. Pounds right here, 136. SoFi ends the day, 1822. Google, 176. Grab again, 5. AMD, 141. And then Hoodie, 93.60 on the close. BMNR is up 10% after hours. Of course it is. Why not? 700. Dude, it was just at 32 when I was bringing it up. It's at 37. So there you go. 32 to 37. I mean, like, again, sometimes they pump. They pump in an aggressive way. And if you chase them, sometimes you can keep chasing them. So let me know if you made any money on this one today. Sometimes they're scary to chase. I mean, this one, buying it up 7x is pretty scary, but it was kind of scary buying it up 4x. So it's one of those things where you kind of have to just assess your risk tolerance and decide if you think that, you want to take a gamble on it. UNH right here, 312 on the day. That's up about 1%. UNH making some good progress after being in the 300s last week. So that one having some momentum. And then Robinhood right here, 93.90 after hours, potentially trying to go to 94. Summit made 165%. HI made 9K. Equimouse made 4,200. Carolyn made 99%. All right, so this is just a bunch of day traders in this chat, huh? It is just a bunch of goodness gracious, bro. You guys need to teach me how to do this day trading. I mean, this is incredible. This is incredible. Made like 2K on it. I was down 1K in 5 minutes in the start. See, that's what I don't want to deal with. I don't have the temper. If I'm down 1K, I might just leave, right? I might just exit the trade. You got to have a certain level of risk tolerance and stomach for doing the day trades. This is why I respect day. I remember I told you guys I met that guy in Toronto. He makes 30K a day. Day trading. He sent me a screenshot the other day after I was talking about him. He said, "Hey, here's another 30K a day." I mean, the guy's just incredible, and he has a certain level of risk tolerance to figure it out and do it that way. And for some of you that have the ability to do it, and there's a lot of money to be made. Tesla right here, still going down after hours. We'll talk more about Tesla and kind of the street's interpretation of this. Robinhood 94 after hours, holding on to this 94. Dougie said he was up 78,000 today. Not bad. not bad at all. It's a big day for a lot of us that had Hood. It's a big, if you had Microsoft, a big day. Overall, if you own the market, not a bad day at all. But for Hoodie, this was definitely one of those days. ASTS down about 5% on the day. Rocket Lab, I think we closed at 36. Rocket Lab, yeah, 36 exactly, 1.75%. That's what you got to close on Rocket Lab. SoFi's volume. What was SoFi's volume? SoFi's volume was 146 million shares today. The average is 65 million. Rocket Lab's volume was 18 million. And Hoodie's volume was 97 million. Robinhood average volume is about 42. So big day for the amount of shares that were traded on Robinhood today. All right, yeah, put in the chat. You can do a year to date. Put it in the chat. Everyone can do a year to date in the chat. I mean, it's one of, dude, we're basically done with Q2. I mean, today's the last day. Oh, Q2's over. Yeah, Q2's over. We're done. We are done. So this, I guess, for everyone to kind of just analyze to themselves is there, you can do your own little Q2 update or Q2 assessment of how the portfolio went. I'm up 64% year to date. 64% on my year to date. Large in part thanks to Hoodie, NVIDIA, and Palantir. So far, HIMS is a loser for me. Rocket Lab is a big winner for me. I didn't expect to be up 57% on that. Misty, been good for income, but Misty, I'm still up a little bit on the actual equity. HIMS, because my average is 55. That's a loser right now, down about, how much, 10%? Down 10%. And then Grab is also basically flat for me. So I think the rest of my performance this year for the next 6 months, it hinges on Grab, Hood, Palantir, and NVIDIA. Now, if Hood, Palantir, and NVIDIA stay flat, it'll be a good year. If Grab can even make a move to 650, that explodes the portfolio this year. And if the other four obviously do well, then that could explode it and help them out. Google's also a loser for me. I'm down on Google. But yeah, basically we got four big winners: Palantir, Hood, Rocket Lab, and NVIDIA. Not bad at all. And then I have Tesla, but Tesla, my average is like 350. So Tesla's insignificant. It's not really doing much. But based on what happens over the coming weeks, Tesla might be the portfolio that Tesla might be the part of the portfolio. I was talking about this in the morning. It's the part of the portfolio that I really do want to build out before the end of 2026. And maybe that's going to be the goal going into the end of the year. Brandon's up 120%. Matthias is up 20%. Elixir's up 95%. Brendan's up 63%. Devon's up 25%. Zachary's up 205% year to date because of Hood and Circle. I love it. Incredible. Jody's up 35%. Jackie 127%. John Ray's 144%. Kevin 9%. Brandon 120%. I mean, it's starting to get into the triple digits. I did sell Nike. I made a good $13 on that. So that, I guess we can call that as a winner. Martin's up 13. Caleb's up 27. Samir's up 75. Average dip buyer up 39%. Full port SoFi. Well, SoFi has had a hell of a run in the past couple of weeks as well. So that is doing well. Uzi's up 25. Varun's up 69. I'm pretty much seeing the average is leaning into basically 40, 50%. I mean, I think 2 weeks ago, this was basically 20 to 30%. This is, I mean, I know today's a good day for Hood, and a lot of people have that. Rocket Lab's been good to a lot of people. NVIDIA's been great to a lot of people over the past week, but we're looking like 40, 50%. Seems to be the average. Abhishek's up 43, Harshel's up 32, Zorik's up 230, Arun's up 30, Sense is up 125, Mitch is up 50, P Mills up 40, Beneficial's up 95, Yasir's up 28. David's up 60%, SoFi and Hood. Joe's up 87%. John's up 26. I'm now scared because I feel like I've been way too right with my picks. So now I'm terrified. That is very fair. It's fair to be a little afraid that things are going too good. And that I think I try to keep a level head every day to try to explore the bear case and see what else is happening. But look, sometimes you're in those generational names. And with Robinhood today, I mean, this is not hype, bro. This 13% move was not hype. Maybe it's a little overextended. Maybe it pulls back, that stuff. But this was not hype. This was, and we'll go deeper into it on the podcast tonight, what they introduced today, the ramifications on the trajectory of their international expansion, bringing the entire business on chain. I don't even think we can explain how big of a deal that is. And the street knows that. This is like when Palantir launched AIP. When Palantir launched AIP and became profitable, the street was like, okay, this is happening. Like, it's real. Like, it is going to happen. And Robinhood, again, they don't make a ton of margin on a lot of parts of their business. Crypto is that big thing that prints them money. One of the big critiques of Robinhood has been, well, crypto cyclical. If people stop trading, then what happens? Well, now Robinhood's saying, well, we're going to use crypto as technology, not just like Bitcoin trading volumes, to really expand the business. And that is where I think the market's like, holy crap, we can't ignore that. We just can't ignore that. And they're just getting started. We got S&P inclusion, and we got freaking Robinhood banking coming in the fall, which is going to be great for net deposits and all the other different services they'll do on top of that. And then Vlad announced they have a new event coming in September later this year. I mean, this is just not stopping. And I think the market understands why we are seeing some of this momentum. Okay, cool. So let's get into some headlines. Again, congrats everybody on the day. Elon just tweeted. All right, so let's start with that. We have a bunch of different headlines to run through on the close. Let's start with Elon. What is Elon saying? And is that causing Tesla to go down a little bit after hours? Let's see. Okay, so Elon responded to the tweet I just showed you guys with, how can you call yourself the Freedom Caucus if you vote for a debt slavery bill with the biggest debt ceiling increase in history? And then he tagged some of the Freedom Caucus representatives. And then he tweeted, every member of Congress who campaigned on reducing government spending and then immediately voted for the biggest debt increase in history should hang their head in shame. I'm happy he said hang their head and not, not hang themselves. I can't put it past Elon to say something like that, given we saw the Epstein tweets. And they will lose their primary next year if it is the last thing I do on this earth. Wow. And they will lose their primary next year if it is the last thing I do on this earth. Okay, I think this is too much, dude. I think it's too much. I love Elon. I respect him a lot. I think this is too much. I talked about it already, but he's not he's not going to be able to get every representative in Congress, the Senate and the House to lose. Is he going to use all of his money to fund every single political, is he going to fund 400 different representatives across the country that are going to compete with and 100 different senators? I think he's just annoyed, and that's why he's saying this. I don't think it's realistically trying to. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he legit is going to start a new party, and maybe that party he's going to fund thousands of candidates across the country running on this a low deficit agenda, and maybe that's the next trajectory for Elon. I want to say that's not going to happen, but given how he's tweeting, who knows? Granted, we know Elon can change his mind very quickly. This is the same guy that apologized a couple of days after saying Trump was on the Epstein list. So it's I think he's annoyed right now. He has the right to be annoyed, but in my opinion, just logically, you're not going to do anything about it. This bill will get passed. Unfortunately, it is going to increase spending, and the only thing that we can do is grow ourselves out of it because we just do not have the political will to stop spending. And if Elon wants to dedicate the rest of his life to that, then sure. But that's not going to be the best for Tesla right here. Tesla right here, 315 after hours, down about 2.6%. I don't know, dude. It's going to be tough to imagine that this can play out. And look, I was the biggest proponent of Doge. A lot of you guys got mad at me for being so excited about Doge. Hood 94.50 after hours. I was really on board with him doing what he did. And then Trump kind of, screwed him over with the big, beautiful bill. And he realized this is full of shit. I just imagine you try to create a new party the amount of, he got screwed over with Doge. Imagine if he actually wanted to build a new party and then get into government. The only way that works is if you have a lot of representatives, the majority of the people that vote on your side. And I just don't think the majority of Americans are going to vote for some brand new party. And maybe they might to an extent, but is that going to be enough to create meaningful change? I don't know. And as a result, Tesla might be reacting to some of the stuff he's saying. Now, granted, Elon could stop tweeting about this in like 2 days, and then Tesla, if this is the reason the stock is down, this could reverse very easily. But Tesla 315, Nvidia 157, Robinhood. I don't know if she's going for 95 after hours, but she might. She might be going for 95 after hours. BMNR up another 20% after hours. Why not? 828%. Who cares? Who cares? This was up 48%. If you bought this up 48% during the market open, or like in the pre-markets, you're up another 7x. I mean, this is just this is just incredible, dude. This is just incredible. It is what it is. It is what it is. Chad says, I just joined. What did I miss, Chad? Well, a good old company called Robinhood that Chad also uses. He has a little bit of money on that Robinhood platform. They had a pretty good day. Not too bad. We talked about Palantir and Accenture in the morning. Great partnership for Palantir as they are continuing to expand their presence inside of the USG. Again, Accenture, one of the biggest consulting firms with the federal government. So very nice to see Palantir working with them. Palantir recovering about 5% on the day. And then we were talking about Elon almost announcing his brand new bid, I guess, to potentially create an entirely new party. All right, let's put that poll in the chat. I'm very curious to see what you guys say about that. Does Elon actually create a new political party? Does Elon actually create a new political party? I'm going to say yeah, but I don't know how seriously he takes it. Granted, if he creates it, he's going to try to take it very seriously, like Doge. I mean, he took that seriously until he got stopped by the big, beautiful bill, which is kind of crazy, right? Because like Trump gave him all the permissions in the world to do what he wanted. And then that bill, there's like nothing he could do against that, right? Because Trump, he's at odds with Trump. Trump wants that bill to pass. So he would have to become the president or like hand pick someone to become the president for him in a new political party to be able to actually implement his agenda. And the question is just going to be, is he going to be able to do that? Which I don't know. I don't know if that's going to play out. Let's get a little bit more coverage on Tesla right here, and then we'll keep going from there. We'll talk about some of that Apple news and also the macro updates. We do have Mike Wilson, Morgan Stanley guy. Let's get his take in terms of what he thinks is happening with the macro. All right, here's Bryn Talkington on how to play Tesla right here, and then we'll keep going from there. Let me just pull this up. All right, here we go.
Seen peak. I don't think it's a bull or bear case. I just think you have to look at this rationally. Have we reached peak auto sales? I think that's a real question that you could say in the short term, yes. And really in order of importance, it's China, Europe, and then the US. And I was just in Europe, and there's so much competition there. There's so much competition in China. And so with their business at hand today, you continue to see fundamentals deteriorating. And so I think that investors, just the way I've been doing it, is you can drive a truck through the moves of the stock. And like right now, it's in a trading range around 250 to around 370. And so that's why the options market on Tesla is so large. So I continue to think, you sell calls when it moves up, close them out, wait for it to fall back, buy it, and then just kind of repeat that, rinse and repeat because the unsupervised FSD, I think that last mile is going to take a lot longer. I use it all the time. And so I think investors have to be patient because we're not going to get those new revenue contributors until at least, I think, 2 or 3 years out.
And Elon, again, has been pretty optimistic, one could argue, saying by the end of 2026, you're going to see meaningful changes to the bottom line. But if he's wrong on that, which he's been wrong in the past on these timelines, obviously the earnings growth is not going to be there. So then the earnings growth is not there right now. It's not going to be there in Q2. They're going to have a bad deliveries number in a couple of days. Like we all know this is happening, yet the stock continues to maintain a bid. And so I think the big question for shareholders and people that want to increase their position like myself is, will the hype be able to persist even with crappy numbers again? It did it once. Can it do it again? And I don't know. I mean, this is going to be like a lot of these stocks that are pumping outside of like the purely frothy ones. They're putting up earnings growth. There's like real growth right there. And that growth, whether the stock wants to cooperate or not, cannot be denied. The growth is there though. It's not like the growth is not there. Palantir, Hood, like the growth is there. You can debate valuations, but the growth is there. With Tesla, the growth is not even there. There's no growth. The growth is qualitative in terms of seeing like a real autonomous robotaxi, which matters. And that's part of the story. Obviously, it's worth upwards of $1 trillion right now. The question is that enough to persist and maintain that as the story? And if it's not, are there enough dip buyers at 300, at 280, at 270? How low does this go? None of us have the answer to that. I do know that a decent chunk of us, like myself, want to build out a real meaningful position. The question is going to be, are we going to get an opportunity, or is the hype going to, continue to maintain itself? And ultimately, we will see. Thank you, Batty, for the $100 super chat. Sending 100 to push Hoodie to 100. We're going to have to buy Hood then. We're going to have to. I already bought 2 shares today in the morning, I think at 92, because someone sent a super chat. So we are going to have to buy another share of Hoodie. 94.53 after hours, bro. Dude, 100's a couple bucks away at this point. I mean, I don't even know if we have to wait till S&P inclusion to get there, but there you go. There she is. There's that one share. I mean, it's incredible, bro. It's been an absolutely incredible freaking run. And, we will be covering it throughout the rest of the year as we continue to see how this plays out. Is Peter Beck on CNBC? Is he live? Let's see. We got some more headlines, but we'll switch them real quick to see if he's talking. And if he is saying anything. I don't see him live yet. He might be live later. He might be live in a little bit. Okay, so we'll switch to him when he does go live, but he is not live right now. CFO on Boeing is being switched, so we do have that update right here. Let's see how Boeing's reacting. Right now, after hours, Boeing down about 2%. Okay, down about 2%. Yeah, pretty cool, dude. Pretty cool day. Peter Beck's not live, bro. What are you guys saying he's live? I don't see him live. No, some random dude is live, not Peter Beck. He might be live later, but he's not live right now. And if he is, I'll switch over to him. I mean, can you actually explain what Hood launched today? Okay, so a lot of people are confused. We will break it down tonight. I tried to break it down in the morning. I can give a high level overview in a little bit on what they launched, but tonight Tanner, Roy, and I will really do it in depth and try to explain. One thing they did launch though is a new meme. This is what Mr. Chad just tweeted. Dude, the fact that Vlad unlocked a new meme for us today, this man literally went in front of a chalkboard and started explaining the back end architecture of how they have tokenized US stocks to allow Europeans to be able to trade. And this actually looks like Chad, dude. Look at this thing. It literally looks like Chad. He's explaining basically Palantir versus all the other software shit that doesn't work. This is great, dude. This is great. This is going to become an absolute meme. This is going to be an absolute meme. Now with all the single Hood shares, your OCD will make you round up. Exactly. I bought 3 shares today. I'm going to have to buy another 7 just to round it up to get a 0 at the end. That's what I'm going to have to do later. Okay, cool. So let's listen to Mike Wilson again. This has been someone who's been kind of bearish, but also started to become more bullish. So just want to get kind of his macro take at Morgan Stanley. I still think he believes 6,500 is on the table. And we can assess if he is all bulled up or if he's going to be a little bit more cautionate or have more caution towards like the way the markets are being perceived right now. And then we'll get into some of the other headlines, including what Trump said after hour as well. TLDR, Trump said a literal letter, like you put a letter to a pigeon and sent he sent a letter to Mr. Jerome Powell.
I guess since February, in a sense. Where does the market sit in your mind relative to all the kind of important drivers, right? I mean, we had this tariff policy scare and then a little bit of relief off of that. But in terms of the fundamental picture, technicals, demand for stocks, and all the rest of it.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mike. Yeah, I would say, I mean, the tariff scare was sort of the final piece of what had been a correction that started almost a year ago. I think you've had some guests on today even talking about, like semiconductors, for example. I mean, they had a horrible second half of the year, as did many other groups. And I always like to say that markets sort of bottom on bad news. They also top on good news. And we basically had a lot of bad news through the end of last year and the first quarter that people didn't acknowledge. Most notably, just all the policy headwinds we had on immigration enforcement. We had DOGE, which was supposed to cut a bunch of spending, not very growth positive. And of course, tariffs. We also had, AI CapEx deceleration and the DeepSeek announcement. So we just combined a lot of information into a short period of time. And the Fed, of course, has been on hold. And I kind of view Liberation Day more as capitulation day. And we sort of cleaned out a lot of things. Now, throw on top of all of that, the sequencing of the policy going kind of growth negative. And now we're looking at some of the growth positive policy changes. For example, the tax incentives in this bill, deregulation, some of the things we're talking about doing with capital controls. That's what we have to look forward to. And that's what the market has gotten ahead of. And the one variable, I think, as you know, Mike, we've talked about this many times, the most important variable for stocks is earnings, and most importantly, earnings revision and earnings revision breadth. And if you looked at a chart of earnings revision breadth, which we published in today's note, it's a V-shaped recovery. And it's powerful as we've seen since COVID. So the expectations just got too low. And so it's not irrational at all for stocks to also show a V-shaped recovery here since April.
Yeah, in fact, we're showing that chart right now, and it is pretty stark. Also, though, I would note that it was a pretty similar trajectory, into the spring of 2023. We're up at about the same level. We bottomed around the same point in terms of earnings revision breadth. What's different now versus then, when I think you weren't so pleased with the risk reward for stocks?
Well, back in 2023, what I would say the difference then was it was extremely narrow. Now, it's still a little bit narrow, but nothing like 2023. 2023 was coming off of what was a very sharp earnings recession in 22, particularly in technology shares and some of the consumer names payback from COVID. And the Fed, they were still sort of in hike mode. They weren't even close to thinking about cutting rates. So that's different this time. We think this is going to be a broader recovery. We've gone through a massive, so I would call rolling recession. And I think with the Fed cutting in the second half of this year or next year, we could see a rolling recovery because now there's quite a bit of pent-up demand, particularly in those interest rate sensitive parts of the market.
AKA, he's pretty damn bullish.
So where are we rolling into next, I guess, is the question. I mean, you can sort of observe just from a top-down level, okay, we're back up to 22 times forward earnings on the S&P 500. Obviously, you can slice and dice it and come up with something lower for the typical stock. But in terms of this technology, large cap growth bias that the market has had for a while, is that changing? Are we finally going to broaden out?
I think we're going to see those stocks continue to do well. They have tremendous earnings power. But what can broaden out is financials, some of the industrial space, which I think Chris was talking about earlier in the show, and then even some of the mid and small cap companies once the Fed starts cutting interest rates. Well, I'll go back again to interest rate sensitive parts of the market. I could name 6 or 7 different areas that have been in a recession for the most part for the last 2 years, whether it's manufacturing, housing related, autos, consumer goods, and all of those are very interest rate sensitive. So I think those parts of the economy is what we're looking forward to for 2026. And then, of course, AI, right? So AI, we spent all the money on CapEx, but now what we have to look forward to is the application layer. That's why a lot of these software stocks are doing better. And sort of the diffusion of that technology into the broader economy. I think that's what the market is getting excited about now. That's why multiples are high. They're saying the earnings power potentially could be higher than anybody's expecting next year because of margin expansion from AI efficiencies. And I think that's something to think about as the market broadens out next year.
I think that's the argument, dude. Rate cuts, earnings growth, and AI. You put all of that together along with a relatively strong labor market. By the way, I think Hoodie is trying to go for 95. I mean, that's what gives you your bull case. Hoodie right here. We touched 94.70. We're at 94.64 right now after hours. I think that's the argument. I think that is the argument. And that's why the Mike Wilsons of the world, along with some of these other equity analysts, they are recognizing how strong it is for the equity markets to still keep catching a bid. Now, in terms of what Trump did today, so Trump sent a letter to Jay Powell. They are really getting annoyed with this lack of rate cut issue. So Trump right here, a bunch of things today. He said Canada's Carney caved to Trump on digital services for the taxes that we talked about this morning. Carney called Trump Sunday night to inform him last night. Trump is going to sign executive orders to terminate the Syria sanctions, which is something that he promised he would do in Saudi Arabia. He said we are going to be hearing about an India deal very soon, hopefully after the big, beautiful bill pass. Trump said he's going to set rates if countries don't negotiate on tariffs. Again, I think he's negotiating here. I don't think he's actually going to meaningfully, tariff South Africa by 50%, but we're going to see how that plays out. And then there was a report right here that Trump sent a letter to Jerome Powell, urging him to cut rates. The exact headline was here. White House says Trump said handwritten note to Fed Chair Powell. White House says Trump asked Powell to lower rates. I mean, imagine if you're Powell and you're getting a literal handwritten letter from the President of the United States, at this point, basically begging you to cut rates. I think the pressure's on for July. I don't think we're going to get the July cut, but I think September, probably we get it, but maybe it's a repeat of 2024. Maybe we get 50 bips in September instead of 25. And if that is, then I think that would be, something the markets would be pricing in a more exciting way. And then maybe we can get, another 50 by the end of the year. Because right now we're only pricing in 50. If that turns into 100, then that would be exciting. There is no order book flow for 95 because it's after hours. So there's very thin liquidity. So I can't tell you guys how many shares are sitting at 95. Even if we get there, it might not hold because, again, it's after hours. But nonetheless, there might be a chance to get there. Trump also tweeted today, I apologize for the long wait on the Faith Leaders conference call. AT&T ought to get its act together. Please pass along to the world the tens of thousands of people who are there. We may have to reschedule the call, but we'll use another carrier next time. AT&T obviously doesn't know what they're doing. Okay, so Trump was kind of mad at AT&T. AT&T is still up 3% on the day. Imagine being the CEO of a public company and, you have shitty service and the president tweets AT&T has no idea what they're doing. So yeah, he was a little upset about that. BMNR, is that one still pumping after hours? 900%. I mean, dude, why not? Why freaking not? It's Ethereum, dude. It's like, dude, those freaking BMNR insiders must feel like so happy they got Tom Lee on board. I mean, Tom Lee's brand in and of itself is just like a big endorsement. And a lot of people respect him. Ethereum barely budged today. Robinhood endorsed Ethereum with their blockchains today. So, I mean, well, Ethereum's up a little bit, up 0.5%. But it looks like there's going to be people that bid up the newest Ethereum treasury, BMNR. And now if they dilute, that's going to be ugly. If they don't dilute, maybe. Well, the thing is, they're going to have to dilute to raise more money to buy Ethereum, right? So I would expect it to happen eventually, but maybe not anytime soon. And if not, what's the market cap? 200 million? Yeah, it's a small company. It's a small company at that point. Robinhood, 94.90, folks. Maybe we get these 10 cents. And maybe we see 95. Thoughts on CEP? I don't know much about it outside of the fact that Jack Mallers is behind it. And how was it? It was at 50 at one point. Year to date, yeah, it's still up 160. It IPO'd at 10 or SPAC'd at 10. This is Cantor Equity Partners, another Bitcoin treasury. Look, I don't really buy Bitcoin treasuries, so I don't have any specific thoughts on it, but I am confused what differentiates, Pompliano's Bitcoin treasury from Cantor's Bitcoin treasury. There's a lot of these different nuances. Ultimately, I think MicroStrategy is the best one, but that one has already kind of made its run. So you got these little ones that are popping up now. So no major thoughts on it, but obviously bullish for Bitcoin. It just means there's more of a bid coming on Bitcoin. S&P 500 right here, 617, SoFi 1821, Google 176, Grab at 5, and then Hoodie getting to 94.85, potentially going 495. I would not sell Hood with this run. I could understand if people want to. I get it. I think if you were going to sell anyway, you might as well sell some covered calls. If you're ready to leave your position at like 100, you sell covered calls at 100, and you just have to make peace with the fact that you're okay with leaving these shares at 100, collect some premium as well. But the reason I'm not selling is because the downside to me is de-risked against what the upside could look like. Meaning the risk reward right here, although it's not what it was before, it has become severely de-risked with what Robinhood announced. Now, look, if we get a recession, bear market, yada, yada, all bets are off the table. But what they announced today is we're talking about at least triple-digit earnings growth, not in aggregate, but in this specific sector over the next 5 years as they expand and build this out, because we're talking about an international product across the world. And so to me, if there's dips, they're buyable dips if you believe that Robinhood is going to be able to execute against bringing crypto and tokenized stocks and staking in perps to the whole world, which it seems like that's what they're going to do. It seems like that's what they're going to do. Yes, they're using an Ethereum network for the tokenized assets. That's another reason why Tom Lee has been more excited about Ethereum as a concept, especially in its role with stablecoins. So, I mean, look, eventually Hood will probably get a dip. Like, I don't know when, but in this bulled up market that we are in, trading volumes are up. Rate cuts are actually not happening, which is bullish for Hood because they make a lot of money on net interest income. And you have capital on the sidelines that eventually wants to be deployed. I mean, I remember I was talking about this with a friend back in February, but to me, the Hood dip is like buying America because let's say Hood falls 50%. If you believe America and the American stock market will recover, which I think most of us believe. I mean, most of us are invested in the American stock market. And then you just believe Hood's going to execute against the overall stock market by creating innovative products that users are going to enjoy. And that's going to overall grow their operating leverage and their top line revenue growth and ultimately their earnings per share. Then you're buying America when Hood comes down. And you can't say the same about Schwab and Fidelity and IBKR because at the end of the day, like those brokerages are just not growing as fast as Hood. So buying a brokerage when the stock market's down, eventually the markets will recover historically and the brokerages will recover. The question is how aggressively will those brokerages recover? And when Hood fell in 2022 to $8, now we're at almost 100. The aggression is not only based on just the market's doing well, but Hood's execution against the market's doing well, which is why I like this if we do get any types of dips. Next S&P inclusion is end of September. End of September. We're going to find out. Yes, Vitalik was at the event. If you go on Robinhood's their YouTube channel, they did a live stream with him. So he was on the fireside chat. I didn't watch it yet, but he was there. And so I'm sure he talked about some stuff when it came to tokenization and volatility. But regardless, that is one of the reasons why I think Robinhood is getting more excited about Ethereum. Okay, so we are 94.83 after hours. Let me see if I can pull up a couple other things that I wanted to show. Again, I know it was a crazy day for everybody. My mom was texting me. She's like, "What's going on?" I was like, "This is why I made sure you didn't sell this thing at 70. Remember that screenshot I posted when Hood hit 70? She's like, "All right, so I'm going to sell it and I'll buy back in later." I was like, "No, we're not doing that." I went through that pain years ago. I tried to do all that timing stuff. It doesn't work. It only works if you really understand technicals and swing trading and that stuff. If we're just buying and holding, we are buying and holding. Dude, my mom's covered calls are for this Friday, 95. She wrote them when Hood was 77. Like, the fact that she might actually have pressure on her covered calls on Friday when she wrote them when it was 77, dude. It's just insane. Call your socialist sister and tell her she's rich. Dude, well, she's not at school anymore because she has summer break. So I went downstairs after the market opened. I was like, "Hey, you look at your portfolio?" And she was like, "Yeah, it's up a lot." I was like, "Yeah, Robinhood's doing its thing." And she's like, "All right, that's awesome." And then she went back to doing what she was doing. I was like, "All right, dude, whatever." At this point, she's getting desensitized to it, bro. Like, I mean, she's never seen this type of money go up and down in a day, but that's good because eventually when there is some level of correction, when it comes down, she has to be ready to see 6-figure down days if she's going to have 6-figure up days. But it's just incredible. It really, really is just incredible. I did not roll my mom's covered calls yet. We'll wait till Friday. But at this point, dude, it looks like it wants to hit 100 by Friday. I mean, it's just more demand than supply for people recognizing what's going on. And again, like Robinhood's going viral right now, like absolutely viral. This person said incomprehensible levels of locked in. I mean, just like by the way, crypto Twitter, I would argue is bigger than finance Twitter. Crypto Twitter, there are some crypto like some of the biggest finance accounts outside of the Kathy Wood and the Tom Lees and like the Bill Ackmans. I think they have maybe a couple 100,000 followers. Right? Some of the biggest like retail crypto. The biggest retail crypto accounts have millions of followers. Like crypto Twitter is massive. And now that they found out that Robinhood's doing all this stuff, I mean, you're going to have crypto Twitter saying, "Hey, let's buy Robinhood stock." Because for the majority, and I've listened to podcasts with some of these crypto Twitter bros, they've bought Coinbase, which has done very well for the past couple of years. But like the number one thing they've been buying, that one of the only US equities they've been buying is Coinbase. Because most of them don't really trade US stocks. They're in these meme coins and crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, but Coinbase has been like their safe haven for like getting exposure to crypto, even through a stock in the stock market. I think Hood might become that company for them. And if it is, then obviously this is going to get very, very exciting as well. Okay, so I want to play this video. A lot of people have been asking, what did Robinhood even introduce when it came to tokenization? This is the video. It's worth me watching again as well. This is 3 minutes on Vlad explaining how they're doing what they're doing. And I'm still trying to fully understand it, but the point is it works for customers. There's no commissions. And as a result, if they can expand this to the world, then, this is one of the reasons I think the street is getting very excited for them. Do you guys hear the volume? Does this play? I'm not even hearing the volume. Does this video have the audio? Yeah, I'm not hearing it. I don't think you guys are hearing it. That might be, okay, so that video, let me just pull this up instead. I'll pull up this different video. But he basically went on the chalkboard and he explained, how they're enabling tokenization. Wow, even Meet Kevin just put out a video. Robinhood, $1,300, 13.7 stock. How Vlad just changed everything. All right, even Meet Kevin is getting a bit bullish on this one. All right, so pull up. This is the moment where Vlad started doing the chalkboard stuff and kind of explaining exactly what they're doing with tokenization. Are we 95? Are we 95 after hours? We're at 94.97. Did we touch it? This is incredible, bro. Again, this is just, it's one of those days for Hoodie. All right, let's see. We might be able to get 95, but here is the video from this morning.
Instead of To Catch a Thief, which was filmed here, by the way. I don't know if I believe it, but I have been told this. Okay, so here you are. Our European customer. There's your mobile phone. And let's say you wanted to buy some Apple stock. What happens is that order is transmitted to our backend. And then it's transmitted to a US broker. Now, this is a registered TradFi broker-dealer that will buy a traditional share from what I'll call a TradFi market. Now, this could be a market maker or an exchange like the NYSE or the NASDAQ. Then that share is transmitted back to the US broker. It's custodied in traditional form, and it gets sent to what we call our tokenization engine. Now, this is where the magic really happens. So for every share that's being purchased from the TradFi market, one token is being minted, and this represents the exposure to the share. And then that token gets transmitted back to you.
So that token being minted is where you need a lot of the blockchain technology along with Ethereum. And basically the user doesn't know that's happening behind the scenes. That's all happening from the architecture and database perspective, but the user is just getting exposure to the tokenized representation of the stock. Now, there's a lot of questions here about like what happens with the price fluctuations, how off is the price from the actual price, what does it mean to self-custody? I don't have the answers to these questions, but the point is the entire world, Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, Robinhood, are embracing this new model. And as a result, it seems like this is inevitable. The question just becomes how big can it become, and if Robinhood's going to be one of the big players in this game.
So what this means is right now, every time you place a trade, an actual traditional share is being purchased from the market, held in custody, and a fresh token is minted. Then similarly, when you want to sell these shares, the process goes in reverse. Robinhood instructs the introducing broker to sell the share, the underlying share in the open market. Then we burn the token, give you the proceeds. And this is all available 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. So I'll call this phase one. Okay. And let's talk about what happens in phase two, which hopefully will be rolling out to customers in the next few months. So in phase two, we see the introduction of Bitstamp by Robinhood. Now, what happens with Bitstamp is it's put alongside the TradFi market, and the tokenized instruments would be listed there, just like normal cryptos like Bitcoin and ETH. And we now have the choice. So let's say the TradFi market is closed, like it is on weekends and holidays. We can send your orders to Bitstamp. But if it's open, then we can send it to the TradFi market and benefit from the centuries of liquidity that's been building on these traditional markets. So you really would get the best of both worlds. And then this unlocks 24/7 trading, which is very cool. But that's not all. Phase three is when things really start to cook, also a few months away. This is when the possibilities really start to multiply. Okay?
And if you bear with me with my schematic, we should probably do that. So
He can draw a circle way better than I can. I suck at drawing circles. 95, folks. 95. She's here. She is here. 14% on the day. $95. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations on 95 for Hoodie. I mean, dude, it's real. It's happening. It is really, really happening. It's incredible, dude. It's like there's nothing else to say. It's incredible. It's not too bad. Currently, right now, Robinhood at 95.07. I mean, guys, this is the big thing that I want everyone to realize. When S&P inclusion happens, which I hope is this year. If it's not, it is what it is. I have no faith in that committee, but let's say it is this year. And these funds have to buy this thing at $100, $95. I mean, maybe it's 105. Like, they had to buy Palantir at 37. And by the way, Palantir was 16 in the beginning of the year. So it basically a little bit more than doubled. And that we thought that was a big deal. Robinhood was 30 in the beginning of the year. It's tripled. If the funds have to buy it up triple, I mean, like, dude, it's and then Robinhood gets a bid perpetually from passive ETFs and index flows every 2 weeks with 401ks, etc. Like, this just becomes legitimized as a financial institution. And then you have all the growth metrics that, Vlad and team, if you just trust, they're going to keep executing on, they continue to do. I mean, we normalize Palantir in the hundreds. Can we normalize Hood in the hundreds? Can we normalize Hood in the hundreds? Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not too worried about my mom's covered call. If you have covered calls at 95 expiring, first of all, someone pointed out calls expire on Thursday today. That's a good call out. I forgot Friday the market's closed. So Thursday we have a half day. So definitely watch out for that. But number two is, if you have a 95 covered call, we can roll that to 100, 115 a couple months out if we want, or we can even just roll it to 95 next week and, see if Hood can maintain these levels. If it does maintain these levels, gets to 100, we'll roll to 110 a month out. Like, there's a lot of ways to navigate it. But I would encourage people to go to ChatGPT and ask, take a screenshot of your covered call position and then just ask it, what would you do here? Because I had someone I was talking to them over the weekend. They had $80 covered calls on Hood and they rolled it to this Friday to 85 and they paid a debit. And that just makes no sense, right? Like, you're already underwater. Why would you pay a debit to only get $5 of appreciation? You got to roll it out a couple months, get a net credit, but increase your strike to 110, 115 from 80. And that's what they did. And so today they fixed the mistake, and they it's a good thing they did it in the morning because, now their strike is 110 and they collected a ton of credits as a result of that versus having to pay. So, like, rolling, there's an art to rolling, and you really have to get into some of those sticky situations to figure it out. But if you ask ChatGPT, be like, hey, give me all the scenarios of what I could do in this. I mean, it is just phenomenal how much it helps. And I think in the future, Robinhood will have some type of AI tool that you can say, hey, Hood, I'm stuck in this underwater covered call. What do I do? And, with AI, just from even that perspective as investors, that's great for our productivity and obviously great for navigating the markets. But there's a lot of different ways to manage these positions. Robin at 95.50 after hours. Get the bell ready for 96, bro. Oh my gosh. This is pretty amazing, dude. This is pretty freaking amazing. And again, it feels real. It doesn't feel like it's a meme run. It doesn't at all. It feels very, very real. Raj, thank you for the 50 super chat. Appreciate it, brother. Admit again, thank you for being you and for this community. I appreciate all of you being here. I can't say it enough. I mean, I am very, 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 very blessed to experience this twice. Once with Palantir, once with Hood. I don't know if I'm ever going to experience this again in life, dude. I really don't. It's not easy to find the 10X. It's especially not easy to find it when no one cares about it. With Robin and Palantir at 7, we, as an online community, we found it. No one cared. We stayed with the story and they became what they became. I don't know if I get another one of those in my lifetime. I really don't. And I'm not going to be cocky enough to say I'm definitely going to find another one of those because a lot of it is luck. There is a level of, okay, I see something in these two names that other people don't see, and you got to kind of have that conviction. But a lot of it also is right place, right time. And you know, sometimes there's that butterfly effect, right? Of like, if you didn't do that one thing on that one day, would you have even thought of Robinhood or Palantir as investment opportunities? So I don't know. It's when you find them, you got to really cherish the community you're growing with them, because ultimately they've turned into entire communities, literally turned into entire communities. Okay, look, I think Grab will do well, but I don't think Grab is going to like freaking 50. That's like, I mean, eventually, but in 2 years, I don't think it's a 10x in 2 years. I would be very happy if that. I just don't see that happening. Now, maybe I'm underestimating it. I didn't think Robinhood and Palantir would 10x in 2 years either, but I think Grab has more structural issues that it's going to make it harder to 10x that easily. Regardless, you know, the communities that we formed, you just got to cherish it because it's so hard to do it. And, you know, it's real money that's changing people's lives. I mean, dude, my mom and my dad are staring at more money in their Robinhood account because of Robinhood stock than they've seen in their entire lives, because they've always been 9 to 5. Every paycheck went to supporting the family. They never really had savings. They've never really been into investing. So it's a big deal for them every day when they see this thing up $4 or $5. If they have a couple thousand shares, that's like 15, 20,000 on a day. Like, they're not used to that. They haven't seen that before. And so it's just a whole new world. Raj, thank you for the gifted 50, brother. I appreciate it. 50 of you guys just got gifted memberships. Carlos, Nesra, Stinger, Ron John, a bunch of you guys. YouTube does it randomly. It just picks 50 people to give the memberships to. Austin, No, Kishan, Vito, you guys all got some memberships. All right, is Peter Beck live? You guys said he was live. I don't see him yet on my screen. Let me pull this up. Let me see if he is live. He's not live yet. No. Why did you guys say he was live, bro? There is no Peter Beck. You guys have the date wrong? Is it tomorrow or something? But I don't see any Peter Beck. Yeah, I don't see Peter Beck. Maybe it's tomorrow or something, but whoever said that, I don't know if you got the date wrong, but yeah, he's not there. And I don't think he's going to be there today. Where's Rocket Lab? Rocket Lab, Robin at 9544, Rocket Lab 3612. After hours right now. Yeah, dude, just incredible journey. Just incredible freaking journey. I mean, it's wild, man. It is. Grab did close above 5. Yeah, Grab closed above 5. It's one of those things, man. Like you just gotta. I'm just so grateful that a lot of you guys see me as a messenger and as a source for, you know, this name, and being able to do it with Tanner and Roy and Arnie, and just like, it's like sports teams, but instead of winning a championship, every dollar equals like a massive increase in your net worth, and you get to, you know, create a community around it and get to be passionate about it. And when you got founders like Vlad that keep executing, that make it easy. I mean, the reason I've been able to make content easily on Palantir and Hood is because they kept executing. If they don't execute, there's nothing to talk about, you know? And the more they execute, the more I get to be a voice to the community about their execution, but their continual pursuit of greatness is really cool. I mean, I put out this tweet a little bit ago, but this really is a community effort in my opinion, because I remember when the stock was $9, people were DMing me about changes to their option fees that would affect their earnings. When the stock was 15 and they had Robinhood Gold, no one knew they were introducing a credit card. There were people that literally hacked the back end of like the event page to find out if what words were there that would make it like, you know, that would give us clarity on what they're introducing. And we found credit card, right? So all of us kind of knew, okay, they were getting into the banking stuff and coming out with new products. And then a few months ago, a bunch of people found that they're applying for a brokerage in Lithuania. Why? Because they want to engage in tokenized stocks. So, I mean, literally all of us together that have been crowdsourcing due diligence. And even if you've not been, you know, participating in the crowdsourcing of the DD, but you've just been consuming the content, it's literally everyone together trying to come up with the thesis, see the thesis play out in real time. And now it's happening. Dude, what? Okay, is Peter Beck live? You guys keep saying he's live. Is he? Oh, he's live. Okay, cool. Peter Beck is here. All right, here we go. Rocket Lab, Mr. Peter Beck is live.
Pinnacle milestone this weekend as well, completing 2 launches from the same site in less than 48 hours. That was a record turnaround. Joining me now, Sir Peter Beck, Rocket Lab founder, chair, and CEO. Peter, it's great to have you back on the show. Welcome.
Great to talk to you, Morgan.
Let's start right there with this fast turnaround you did with these launches over the weekend and how it speaks to how quickly you're ramping the cadence of your launches.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a rocket rolls off the production line here every 15 days or thereabouts, and it was good to get a couple vehicles one after the other. Of course, we've done 10 launches this year so far, so it's been a big step up in cadence so far this year, and we look forward to seeing that continue throughout the year.
How does that speak to what you're seeing in terms of demand for launches? I mean, case in point, whether it's commercial players or governments, everyone I speak to says they need more competition in the market. Case in point, this very public spat between Elon Musk and President Trump really highlighting how dependent overall the market is on SpaceX.
Yeah, I worry about a lot of things at night, but that's probably not one of them is demand. And, for Electron, our little rocket, we've seen, increased demand over the last couple of years. And we're not just launching, single spacecraft. These are generally entire constellations for customers. And then, of course, you hit on the point with Neutron is there's kind of a pseudo monopoly in that medium class lift right now. So Neutron is aimed to kind of break open that monopoly. So yeah, a lot of demand. And the demand is one thing, but reliably delivering over and over again is equally as important.
So when does Neutron fly?
Well, we're trying to get it on the pad and launch this year. So it's an aggressive timeline, but we're giving it our best shot.
He said this year, folks. He said this year. I mean, I don't think anyone's expecting this year, but I think everyone's expecting 2026. But if they pull it off this year, that would be pretty damn incredible for Rocket Lab.
You also recently made an acquisition, Geost. Are you still acquisitive? How does that expand your portfolio?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in fact, we've made two recently. So one was a company in Germany, Minaric, that's underway at the moment. And then, of course, as you mentioned, Geost. And Geost really is our first foray into payloads. So, we're very well known at building rockets and building spacecraft, but now we actually build the payloads to provide, a real end-to-end service for our customers and a stronger foothold in national security.
I was just talking about it before the break, the fact that defense spending is growing here in the U.S., but internationally as well. And we're seeing spending on things like space in particular, whether it's from a national security standpoint or even a civil space standpoint. Those dollars are increasing too. Where do you see the biggest opportunities and how much of that is domestic versus international?
Yeah, so I mean, generally our backlog looks something like 50% commercial, 50% government, and it kind of ebbs and flows between the two. But I would say that in a more unstable world, there's definitely more more necessity for some space assets. So we see national security being a bigger part of our portfolio. But nevertheless, we like to hold that sort of healthy mix of both commercial and government.
Yeah, and investors certainly getting on board with this. Peter Beck, thank you so much from Rocket Lab for joining me today.
Thanks, Morgan.
Well, Apple rallying today, but a real drag on the Dow this.
That was Sir Peter Beck. Look, I don't know if we get Neutron this year. 65% of you say yes. I don't know if that's because you guys love Rocket Lab or you're being realistic about Neutron. I don't know enough about Neutron. I do know that if Rocket Lab decided to change the name to Jimmy Neutron, that stock would be $50 tomorrow. Nonetheless, they might not do that. But I mean, if it launches this year, 6 months left to the year, there is some time, dude. If they figure out a launch this year, this is going to be exciting. This is going to be very, very exciting. But I don't want to have the expectation for them to do that, right? I think the short report in like March said they wouldn't do it until like the end of 2027, and that's just pushing it way too far out. Most people are thinking 2026, which is reasonable. Yeah, you got to blast. So I think it'll happen. It just might not happen this year, but if it does happen this year, that would be very fun. Matt is in Mexico right now. I cannot bring him on for this. Hopefully, I don't even know when he comes back. I think he'll be back like next week or by the end of this week. So we'll try to get him on one of these closes and get his thoughts on what's going on with Rocket Lab. But it's been a fun ride, dude. I did not expect to be up this much on Rocket Lab. I really I thought, I'm like, all right, it's a little SpaceX. I'm going to have a little position here. And this thing is vastly outperformed my expectations. And it's been really incredible. Basent just tweeted, okay, there you go. Serious sanctions done. As President Trump promised, the Treasury Department is implementing a termination of the Syria sanctions program. Today's action will help provide the opportunity to reconnect Syria's economy with global commerce and rebuild the country's infrastructure. The Syrian government must continue to take steps towards building a stable, unified country that is at peace with itself and its neighbors. It is my hope that the actions taken by the U.S. will not only provide much needed relief for the Syrian people, but also give the country a chance to succeed. Okay, what is the GDP of Syria? 23 billion. All right, so obviously this is not a country with massive levels of infrastructure, economic mobility. For the United States, if we can start trading with them, that would be not only bullish for us, because obviously we would be able to get some more revenues for that, but obviously would be bullish for the broader Middle East, helping them rebuild. They do have lots of oil. That is fair. Afghanistan is 14 billion. Goodness, dude. Afghanistan's worse than Syria. Dude, I want to do a deep dive over the next coming weeks into Middle Eastern economies, because everything that's been going on with Iran and Israel really has made me personally more curious about what countries are actually the behemoths that have the ability to sustain themselves from an economic perspective. Obviously Qatar and Saudi Arabia, because they've had decades of oil money and they've actually made good investments. But I'm curious about all the others and how much they actually are able to produce. Robin 95.74. I don't know if she wants 96, folks, but maybe she does. Maybe she does. And if she does get there, then I mean, this is just going to be one of those stories. Then, look, I don't know if we're getting to 100 anytime soon, but it's close. It's very, very close at this point. And there's a shot. The question becomes when the street, or not the street, but when people say, all right, enough is enough. It's extended. We're going to chill out a little bit. And I think everyone was waiting for that to happen with Palantir. It never happened, ever. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130. We hit 140 last week, 148 at one point. It just never happened. And so for Robinhood, it kind of, the only time it happened was during tariffs. But if it doesn't happen, then, we could wake up tomorrow and see this catch a bid. On top of that, again, you got trade deals coming, you got rate cuts coming. So, and remember, one of the other parts of the Robinhood thesis is that it's a bullish bet on the market. So if the market is generally bullish, that's good for Robinhood. Even NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA is up 15% over the past week. One of the top stocks on NVIDIA in terms of assets on Robinhood is NVIDIA. And so as NVIDIA goes up 15%, their AUC starts to go up in that part of the overall assets under custody, which means as the market goes up, Robinhood's overall assets go up. This is not unique to Robinhood. This is to every brokerage. But the point is, if Robinhood is growing faster than all the legacy companies out there and the markets are bullish, you've just got blue skies for the stock. And I think that's where we're getting some momentum. Forward PE, I believe, is, let me check to make, I think it's 45, if I'm not wrong. Let me see. Forward PE, the analysts are expecting 891 million. 65. Well, that's on a GAAP basis. Non-GAAP, 56. All right. So, you're paying 45 to 50 times earnings. It's obviously not incredibly cheap, but if you're not just looking at PE, which, Robinhood's not a mature growth company yet. So you're looking at PE, people say Grab's PE at 800 makes no sense. It's growing. It's the first inflection of it growing. That PE will collapse dramatically over the next 5 years. Same thing with Hood, same thing with Palantir. If they grow, that's they got to give us the growth, and that's what the market will pull forward. So it's not the best metric to use. Obviously, yes, it's getting expensive, but I can list 10 catalysts by the end of December that have yet to happen for Hood. And I think the street is obviously getting excited about them. I did buy some shares at 90 today. I bought 3 shares today because of the super chats. I'll probably be buying more soon. Definitely 7 more to round it out. I bought a good amount of 83, bro. I think I bought in the 80s. I think I bought in total about 800 shares. So I bought at 83.50, 300, and then at 83.30, 500. So that's my last big buy on Hood, 800 shares at that 83 range. And so I feel like I've got my exposure. The one mistake I've made is I sold my spreads too early on Hood. But you can't blame me, bro. Just being that heavily levered with options, I'd rather have the stock. So now, granted, if I dude, my strikes on the spreads were 95 and 100 for January 2027. So obviously the spreads, given their spreads, would not be up like crazy. I have to wait another year, and maybe Robinhood, goes down over the coming year, so I don't get the full width of that spread. That the risk is holding on to it. But the fact that my spreads were 95 and 100 for a year and a half out, and we're at 95 right now, is wild, bro. It's just freaking wild. And, I'm happy with the stock, but like for those that are still in the options on this thing, it's done very, very well for you. Very well. Yes, I still have all my grab spreads. Grab is the only major option position that I still have. I still have SoFi too and some TLT, but grab's the big one. All right, so let's see after hours what other headlines we have. I think there were a couple of things. Oh yeah, Apple. So let's see why Apple got a little bit of a bid today as well.
Cap again. But what happened today was Bloomberg reporting that Apple is considering third-party AI companies to partner with if it can't get its own version of Siri off the ground. Now, you might remember, Morgan, earlier this year, Apple gave that splashy delay of the AI upgrade to Siri. That was part of the reason the stock has been under pressure most of the year. Tariffs also play into it as well. But what Bloomberg is reporting, Apple is looking at Anthropic and OpenAI as potential partners to kind of power this new version of Siri if they can't get their own large language model off the ground. In fact, the story specifically says Apple right now is leaning towards licensing Anthropic's technology. Now, we know that Apple or other companies have had success building on top of these two companies. Perplexity is the search engine company is the best example of this. They take Anthropic's technology and OpenAI's technology and put their own search layer on top of that. So we do know this is possible using that kind of technology for it. But it would also kind of be an admission that Apple is further behind than maybe even it thought it was, or at least has said publicly it is, when it comes to these big generative AI things. So we'll have to wait and see. Apple had said right now that it's going to be 2026 when they get this out the door. This kind of gives them insurance. That's the way I'm looking at it. If they can't figure it out on their own, at least they have this kind of backup plan that they can go to and say, Anthropic will start paying you for your models until we can figure out on our own.
So that's what got the street excited about Apple today. Robinhood right here, 95.63. Let me pull up the ETFs and see how we're doing on those. Is it a legit reason for Apple to be rising? Probably not. I mean, the fact that they're saying, hey, we have like ambitions for our AI models to be better on Siri. And the street's like, oh, great. We love it. 2%. Like, that's stupid to me. But I also believe one of the reasons I picked Apple in my ETF was that I just think this stock is too big for it to meaningfully decline against the market, especially for a bull market. And any level of good news, people love Apple at the end of the day, will help it. And I think that's kind of what you're seeing today. So Matt's up 12%, Tanner's up 7%, I'm up 4%, Steve's up 3%, Chris is up 2%. So Matt's number 1, Tanner's number 2, I'm number 3, Steve's number 4, Chris is number Chris. My biggest winner so far is Hoodie. Matt's biggest winner so far is Oscar. Chris's biggest winner so far is Marvell. Tanner's biggest winner so far is Coin. Steve's biggest winner so far is Broadcom. Those are the ones that are leading. My biggest loser so far is Duolingo. Matt's biggest loser so far, Bros. It's only down 3%, bro. That's not even a loser. Chris's biggest loser is Novo, down 8%. Tanner's biggest loser is AppLovin, down 5%, which isn't even that bad. And then Steve's biggest loser is Hims, down 16%, which probably will recover. So that's what we got with the ETF updates. Microsoft, did we close above 500? MSFT 497. We touched 500 though. Touched 500. Oh, take a look at this. This piece of news was pretty big. Nikita Beer is joining X as head of product. Now, a lot of you guys might not know Nikita. He is one of the biggest social consumer tech entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley. He built multiple startups, sold them to Meta. He grows apps really quick to millions and millions of users. He's joining X as head of product. I think this is one of the best hires that X has ever done. This is one of the biggest social media names or names that creates apps on social media or leveraging social networks. And now he's joining one of the biggest social networks in terms of X. So this will be exciting to see in terms of the X product adoption, the AI maybe getting rid of the bots. I mean, he's been a big user of X, so maybe he actually gets rid of a lot of the issues that people have been complaining about for so long. But I think that is nice to see him as the head of product. That's a big hire by Elon too. He's a hard guy to get. I mean, so getting him on board is not too bad. Are there any stocks that rise in unison with Hood? Stocks that have high correlation with Hood? You know, it's more so Hood's correlation to other things like the S&P, Bitcoin, etc. You could say Hood and Coin to an extent, but you know, they are just different businesses. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's a stock that trades in conjunction with Hood. It's more so Hood trading with Bitcoin and the broader market. Hood has just so many elements of their business that I think are affected in a variety of different ways, and that's what makes it, you know, a really important company that is beginning to become more diversified. But I don't think there's another name that necessarily trades with it. We'll have Technical Tuesday tomorrow, and we'll talk to Jason about what he's thinking about this TA. But he did say 93 last week. He did say that, and here we are, 95. Yeah, the Excel sheet is updated automatically, so it updates like every second with the stock prices. So we don't have to really do any work for that. Okay, is this Microsoft news real? Because I think I saw some of this about Microsoft and what they're going after with super intelligence. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so Microsoft FT is reporting has built an artificial intelligence-powered medical tool it claims is 4 times more successful than human doctors at diagnosing complex ailments as the tech giant unveils research it believes could speed up treatment. All right, so this right here, I don't know if this is true. I haven't gone into the article. This is just the headline. But this right here is why we could have a bull market for a very long time. I mean, if Microsoft is coming out with AI tools that can better diagnose treatments or illnesses, like that's just like this is the use cases of AI that we've been talking about for the past couple of years. If it's starting to become real, we're seeing the stablecoin crypto stuff start to become real, which is what Robin introduced today. If we see the actual use cases like drug discovery, like saving people's lives, start manifesting themselves in the healthcare sector, and like the street recognizing how vital, how every single hospital on the planet, every pharmaceutical company on the planet would pay for something like that. It's just, it's an entirely new world that we're entering into. And it's hard to fade that market. Google's working on it. Microsoft's working on it. Recursion's, I mean, a lot of these companies are working on it. And the exciting thing is that all that work is just going to lead to A, more GPU demand, but B, more potential to solve some of these. I mean, if we imagine we cure Alzheimer's, bro, like that's one of those things where, you know, it's just a sad disease. ASTS, by the way, down 5.2%. I don't know why it was down today, but this one did get hit. It did have a nice run over the past couple of weeks. Did have some dilution last week, but that one down about 5%. Like Alzheimer's, put in the chat if anyone has a family member that dealt with Alzheimer's. My grandpa, I don't know if it was Alzheimer's or it was dementia. It was probably a combination of both. But before he passed in December 2022, you know, he was losing his mind. And it's one of those things where it's very sad, right? It's like someone you know doesn't even remember or can't really comprehend who you are. Like imagine we get cures to that stuff in the next 20, 30 years because of AI. Like it's just like that like how much is that worth? Obviously it's priceless when it comes to, you know, what it's really worth in the real world. But from an economic perspective, that's stuff that's like, we're talking about trillions and trillions of dollars, and that's just in drug discovery. I mean, we get expanding that across every single vertical that should be able to get meaningful levels of margin improvement, productivity, exponential returns in terms of just the ability to cut through some of the most complex mathematical challenges. Like this is what AI promises us. And that's why it's special to be an investor at this time. Yeah, a lot of you guys in the chat are saying it. Gene has his dad. Zoe, my godmother-in-law's mom. My grandma from Logan. It's tough, dude. It's very, even my grandmother downstairs, bro. She's like, she's not there yet, but you can tell. You tell her something and she kind of forgets a little bit. Like it happens as you get older. It is what it is. And if we can solve that stuff, dude, like, and these companies are and like the market's subsidizing these companies to give them the money to be able to spend on all the infrastructure needed to do the research. Like that's one of the greatest uses of capitalism ever. And as a result, I think the market would be, you know, pretty damn excited about this. By the way, speaking of capitalism, let me show you guys this video. So there's a video of this girl who used to be super big on AOC, And she's been going viral because she posted a video about how Mamdani is not the right approach, but she understands why millennials are going after this. This has like millions of views. So I'll show this video real quick. You're starting to see a lot more pushback. Mamdani did say on Sunday on Meet the Press that billionaires shouldn't exist. And I think that's what prompted her to make this video. And she had a lot of people just talking about ultimately his approach to economics.
Nominated this guy, Zohran Mamdani, who is a socialist, to represent them for the mayor's election. And if I was 25, I would be obsessed with Zohran. When I was 25, I was actually 26, 27. I helped get AOC elected. I made a video for her campaign that went super viral. I met her a ton of times, and I was a huge AOC person. Now I'm 35, and like every stereotypical person, I've grown up, and I've learned that these feel-good politics of promising free food, free college, free apartments, like you get free, you get free, you get free. It feels so good. You feel as a young person when your frontal lobe is not fully developed and you're thinking more in black and white that this is going to be good, right? You're indoctrinated as a young person in America to believe that capitalism is bad and all your problems are because of these evil business owners. But I have to warn young people who are caught up in the Mamdani vibe is that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And we've seen time and time again in countries and cities that adopt these socialist programs is that the rich people who are going to pay for them are going to leave because of a high taxes. And then we just get more taxes and less for it. And one example of this on a smaller scale is in New York in 2019, there was a law that was passed by the state house, all Democrats, to pause rent hikes on rent stabilized apartments. So they can no longer rent hike. So say, for example, an apartment is rent stabilized. It's had the same tenant since the 1970s. It comes up for rent. Landlords, because of this law, can only raise the rent by 2%. So say in 1970, someone was paying $200 a month. You're now going to be paying $220 a month in 2025. But the problem is that rent stabilized apartment needs to be renovated and brought up to 2025 code. So because of this law, what's happened is now there are tens of thousands of empty apartments in New York that are rent stabilized that the landlords are not renovating because they know they cannot make their money back if they renovate them. And again, these landlords are not like evil people. And when you're indoctrinated into this sort of leftist, oppressed mindset, you think like business owners are evil. They're not. Many of them are small businesses. You know, they're working on a margin. And so it's not affordable for them to put hundreds of thousands of dollars into an apartment that they cannot charge market rate for. And so what's happening is landlords are letting these apartments now sit empty and go into foreclosure. And so that's why we have such a bad housing crisis right now in New York, is because of these leftist policies that feel so good to vote for. Like, yay, of course you don't want to raise rent on rent stabilized apartments. Like that feels so good. But you guys have to understand, like, that's not how things work. We have to look at supply and demand and how like economics works. And unfortunately, Mamdani, like, I think he's tapping into something that's so real. This feeling from young people, they want to make a difference. They want the world to be a better place. They see inequality. They're so sad. But unfortunately, his policies are not going to be the things that fix our city.
Now, the reason I'm saying this is because she's gone absolutely viral over the past couple of days. You can agree with her, disagree with her. I mean, there's obviously nuances to how you think about rent policies, all that stuff. But we've been talking about Mamdani's campaign over the past couple of weeks. And essentially over the weekend, you know, after that billionaire comment came out, there's been a lot of pushback on kind of the idea of Mamdani. I've been seeing a lot of these videos from the opposite side that have been going viral saying, hey, this kind of idea of, you know, fully embracing the way he thinks about socialism is maybe not the best thing in the world. And I think what's important about this to recognize as well in the context of, you know, bringing it back to Robinhood, you know, Vlad's a billionaire. Vlad's worth a couple $2 billion right now. And when you say billionaires shouldn't exist, the question becomes, should millionaires exist? Should thousandaires exist? You know, at what point is the bright line? And I think that is going to be the debate in this country if, you know, the Mamdani gets elected as a New York City mayor, which I think he will, if that bleeds into AOC. Now, why does this matter to the stock market? Because obviously, if there is a political uprising that is rooted in socialist ideals or philosophies, even if it's not fully socialism, that's going to be something that impacts stocks. And we saw this last year. Every time Kamala was up in the polls, the stock market was down. Like a brand new poll would come out from CBS, national poll, Kamala was leading by 2 points. Markets would be down that day because markets kind of knew some of the pain that would be happening if you were to have higher taxes, et cetera. Now, obviously, Trump with Liberation Day, he has his own set of problems as well. But the point is this, you know, inextricably is going to affect markets. And I'm going to be curious to see kind of how the broader media from a millennial Gen Z perspective, and then obviously the corporate media, how they embrace Mamdani, because in my opinion, he's absolutely going to become New York City mayor. It's going to happen. And the question is just what the pushback is ultimately going to be. But again, there's nuances to this because, you know, if you say billionaires shouldn't exist, someone who's on the side of that might also be thinking, well, homeless people shouldn't exist. And if we can get rid of billionaires in order to have less homeless people, then that's how you can ethically justify it in your head. Again, there's There's never really a right or wrong here. There's just a nuanced approach on how you interpret it. But seeing that video go viral from someone who's 35, who, again, if you look up her history, she quite literally got AOC a lot of media coverage back when she was 26, 27. It's kind of that journey that a lot of people go through in terms of, it's not even about Democrat or Republican. It's more so about like, do you believe in certain ideas that are fundamentally opposed to capitalism? And would you embrace them? And who knows, dude, maybe Mamdani, maybe this guy, this city-run grocery stores, maybe they work. Maybe it's really good. Maybe like it helps New Yorkers. It doesn't actually take away that much. Maybe the tax hikes on billionaires is like the 2% wealth tax or whatever they want to do is not going to be that bad. Like maybe there are some nuances to how this ends up working out. And it's seen as an experiment that could be implemented across the country, but maybe it doesn't. No one really knows, but I think that's what the debate is going to be over the coming months as we kind of analyze, how markets are interpreting this. And again, speaking of the beauties of capitalism, this is from one of my friends on X, Flossie. That's their name. They're a great account for Hood. They're anonymous, but I've met them in person. And look at that, dude. This was when Hood was 91. So we got to add another 100,000 to this now that Hood's at 95. They're 1.9 million. 1.9 million on Robinhood. 26,000 shares. $15. I mean, this is the type of life-changing wealth that this stock has created for so many people. And I don't know. It's pretty incredible. It's pretty freaking incredible, dude. This is when you have capitalists come out and like, should we not have millionaires? Because is this person not allowed to have this 1.9 million, right? You get into such a gray area in terms of how people think of this stuff philosophically. But it is just really incredible to see this stuff. Now, granted, if they sell this, they're gonna have to pay a shit ton of taxes, so they're probably not selling it, which is gonna be one of the reasons that, ironically, the taxes is gonna keep them invested because there's gonna be a decent amount of taxes to pay if they take profits. But still, yeah, the capital gains would be a bit aggressive. And again, like I think from the Mamdani perspective, I don't think the guy's literally trying to create breadlines. I think a lot of that is a bit exaggerated, but I do think that some of the policies are being interpreted as having those types of effects as their byproduct. And maybe they won't, maybe they will. But my big thing about him is he going to be able to get anything done? Like, because again, he's promising a lot. Is he going to be able to get anything done? And same thing with Trump, right? Like Trump has a lot of promises. Trump has got some stuff done this year, but definitely not all the things that he promised. The question is, will he be able to? And the other reason why people are freaking out, again, you have these clips surfacing from a couple of years ago of Mamdani talking about, for example, seizing the means of production. I mean, these are the clips that people are digging up and they're seeing who exactly is this guy and what exactly is his agenda and how is New York going to interpret some of this stuff happening.
This entire project, it's not simply to raise class consciousness, but to win socialism. And obviously raising class consciousness is a critical part of that, but making sure that we have candidates that both understand that and are willing to put that forward at every which moment that they have, at every which opportunity that they're given. We have to continue to elect more socialists, and we have to ensure that we are unapologetic about our socialism. There are also other issues that we firmly believe in, whether it's BDS, right, or whether it's the end goal of seizing the means of production, where we do not have the same level of support.
So again, is New York picked him? I think New York's going to elect him. And I think the question for all of us is, what is that going to mean for, broader American politics? But regardless, I think a lot of us right here are capitalists in the chat. Our capital is being compounded today by the beauty of the equity markets. 95.30 on Mr. Robinhood. I mean, it's pretty freaking cool, dude. Pretty freaking incredible. Rom says, admit, I work as an Amazon driver, and I will tell you how good Amazon Prime Week went, which would help you decide their coming quarter. Yeah, Amazon Prime is Rom, first of all, thank you for letting us know that. I think July 8th to July 11th, right? So we are going to get a ton of data from Prime Day. Last Prime Day was their biggest Prime Day ever. I mean, it looks like they're probably going to go to make this one even better. And if they do, that could also be why the street's giving them a little bit of a bid right here at 220. So, maybe we see some more of that momentum as well. The problem with taxing high income at a higher rate is that people aren't necessarily wealthy and you can price them out of the city. Those people are usually the job creators. Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, there's a reason I'm not moving to New York and I'm staying in Jersey City. I don't want to deal with those taxes in New York. I don't want to deal with that shit. I'd rather live 20 minutes away. You know, it's like, it's just one of those things, bro. There's 123 billionaires in New York. 123 billionaires. I'd be very curious to see if they leave. By the way, I mean, Citadel already left Chicago when this shit happened and they went to Miami. And Ken Griffin's been very vocal about the fact that he was just not going to deal with the shit in Chicago. And so he left. He's in Miami. Citadel's crushing it. Would a big hedge fund actually leave New York? It's hard to see it. New York is the mecca of finance. You quite literally need to be close to the servers of the New York Stock Exchange for the high-frequency trading algorithms to be as good as they are. That's why people and hedge funds are set up in New York and not San Francisco. Like, you need to be close to the exchanges. But who knows? Who freaking knows, dude? I think over the coming months, we're going to get a lot more, information to see how this plays out. Hammett, what would you do with a 91 covered call expiring Thursday? I would roll it out to probably like October, November and go to like 110, 120. At this point, Robinhood's looking like it wants to get, it wants to make a parabolic move. It's already made a parabolic move. It looks like it doesn't have to stop. Now, I could easily see Robinhood taking a chill pill, right? Like this obviously could happen as it's had its run. But if it doesn't, if it wants to keep going, then I would just get out of the way. And again, I think eventually you'll be able to navigate the position. The goal here is to keep your shares, right? When you get underwater. And so you want to not make any money on rolling the covered call, hopefully break even, maybe make a little bit. If anything, you pay a slight amount just to make sure you get a better price. And then just wait it out, because the gains you're making on the stock, are incomparable to the actual income strategies you can get off the stock. So I would just get out of the way. Yeah, I think your 103 covered call will be okay for July 3rd, but what if it's not, bro? Like, what if it's not? What if this thing's at 105 on July 3rd, bro? Amit, remember when William Simona got instead of Hood? Yes, I remember that. It was a bit ridiculous, but hopefully the street again, dude. If the street recognizes S&P, we're going higher. But the street's got to recognize it, and if they don't, then I think it'll be good by the end of the year. But then S&P inclusion will just take till probably mid 2026 to make happen. It's one of those things where it is so obvious now that Hood deserves to be in the S&P that anyone doubting it, or the S&P committee kind of like fading it, it would just be weird, And so it would just seem like they're purposefully not choosing to give it some love. And I think we all know that eventually it's going to happen. Are we canceling the NYC meetup if he's elected? No, we are still doing the NYC meetup. November, most likely we'll do it. Again, dude, look, I think the biggest thing about him, I don't vote in New York, so I don't have an opinion on this. I mean, like, obviously I have my own biases on do I agree with some of his policies or not, but this is up to New York City. They are the voters. They are going to decide if they want him to represent it. And if he does, I don't think life's going to dramatically change anytime soon. I think, the city will be the city. The city's 8% of the United States GDP. So I think there's too much money in the city for him to make that much of a meaningful difference to, re-architect that money elsewhere. But I think he'll raise some taxes. And if he raises those taxes, then, it might get some people pissed off. They might leave. But I mean, think about California, bro. They've raised taxes on California a million times. And people in California love now, I know a lot of people are leaving as well, but there's a decent chunk of people that like just will not leave California. Because California is, California's home to a lot of people. So I think if you lived in New York and you can afford to live in New York and you can afford to pay another extra 1 or 2% on your taxes, you're probably going to stay in New York. The broader question is going to be, can he actually get the promises like free buses, rent freezes, city-owned grocery stores? Can he get those through the finish line? And if he does, this guy's running for president. If he does, if he actually gets policies passed and they work and, there's not that much political pushback and like there's meaningful change in people's lives, he is running for president. Might take a decade, but I think that would be the playbook for him. Can we do the New York City meetup when Arnie's in town? So Arnie's going to be in town for a very specific event that him and I will be going to. I don't know if we'll have enough time to do an entire meetup when he's in town. I mean, it's possible. It's just going to be hectic, bro. It's going to be a little hectic. So Yeah, probably not when Arnie's in town. It is going to be in September, but yeah, it's going to be a little tough to make that happen. San Francisco. So we already did the Bay Area meetup. We're going to do LA in September, most likely. LA in September. So we'll probably do San Francisco again next year, like in February, but likely not at the end of the year. But we will do LA. LA September, Vegas October, New York November, and then Miami in August. Oh yeah, he was born in Uganda, right? Oh, that's fair. So he can't run for president. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Dude, his mom is actually a really accomplished movie director. She made I think his dad is an academic, and she made a movie called Mississippi Masala, which is about an interracial relationship and like the backlash by society at the time due to the intermixing of races that fell in love. And so like it was a pretty successful movie. So he has some pretty well accomplished parents that have been able to do very well. But yeah, he was born in Africa. So that is one of the things that's going to stop him. Jeffrey, thank you for the $20 super chat. Appreciate it. Thank you, Amit, for all you do. Keep up the great work. Jeffrey, appreciate you. Thank you for the $20 super chat. Adam, right here, thank you for the $5 super chat. Love you, brother. Killing it. Adam's been long hood for a very long time, so appreciate it. David, thank you for the €5. Not much, but it's my first. Enjoy watching every day. Watching from Portugal. Thanks a lot. David, or David, Davide. It's definitely not David if you have an E. Davide. It's I'm definitely saying that wrong, but appreciate you. Whether it's €5 or €50 means the world. Thank you so much for being here and being part of the chat. So yeah, thank you for watching from Portugal. Lisbon. I need to go there one day. I need to go there. I've heard of MD AI in regards to healthcare AI. I've never really looked into the stock. Robinhood 95 or 48 after hours. MD AI. Yeah, it's a $60 million company. So it's a small one. It's up 22% on the day. Another small cap that's getting a little bit of a run right here. I have heard of this ticker, but I've not like meaningfully dug deep into them. But again, healthcare AI, it could catch a bid. It's probably catching a bid because of some of the Microsoft news that was announced today. How do you say it, bro? Davide? It's Italian? Let me ask Google. How do you say Davide in Italian? Wait, the Italian version is just David in English. Wait, so let me see how she says it. Hold on. Davide. Oh, I was stressing the E too much. Davide. Hold on. Davide. Okay, cool. Davide. There you go. I got it. Davide. Dude, this is the use case for Google, bro. This is why Google's going to 200. Every day we have to freaking ask Google how to say a certain word because I can't do it. And so that helps out. Comedy, thank you for the 20 euros. Amit, we have democratic socialism here in Austria. You can make it big, but also society protects those in need, and anyone can find themselves in such a situation at such point in their life. Yeah, look, I agree. I think some of the European countries, Scandinavia, et cetera, they've been able to show that democratic socialism works. I think when you have a lot more people than 20, 30 million, it becomes harder to make it happen. I also think part of the reason why Europe doesn't innovate as much is because, they don't encourage as much of the risk taking that capitalism provides. And again, why do people take risks? Because there's a reward at the end of the day. Like, why is Vlad working his ass off so much? I'm sure he wants to make Robinhood a big company, but the guy owns 50 million shares. Every dollar Robinhood goes up, he makes $50 million. Like, there's a little bit of an incentive to the tune of 50 million. Today, he's up 500 million because Robinhood went up $10. And the fact that, half of that eventually is going to be paid, or at least a third of that, to taxes. The fact that he knows he gets to keep some of that money because it's his, because he worked his ass off when he was a kid in Stanford to make this little Robinhood thing become a $70, $80 billion company. That is what I think Europe and a lot of parts of the world just don't have. So, and yeah, to an extent, I mean, Doug has a point right here. A lot of European socialism is subsidized by the U.S. economy. I mean, The reason, Rheinmetall and some of these defense stocks caught a bid is because Trump said, hey, enough is enough. You guys got to step up. You guys got to start paying your fair share when it comes to defense as a spending as a percentage of GDP. So I'm not saying it's not possible for it to work. I'm just saying wherever it's worked, it has not been as complex and nuanced as the United States. And you've not seen even 1/1000th of the level of innovation that exists in the United States. Now, granted, I'm not the person saying Mamdani is going to stop New York from innovating. I don't think that's going to happen. I just keep bringing it up because A, it's going to be a political story that we have to follow. It's going to affect the markets. B, New York City is emblematic of the entire country in some respects, mainly because of their economic prospects for the United States. Again, 8% of GDP. And then C, it's going to be one of those stories that I think will develop over the coming years. And if he can actually execute against it, you're going to have people wondering, well, why can't we do city-run grocery stores somewhere else? And maybe that's going to be a debate in this country of like, hey, maybe let's try implementing state-run operations in different places. And if it doesn't work, you're going to see different levels of pushback and analysis as well. Is Palantir getting government contract socialist? No, because Palantir is providing a product or service to the government. I mean, it's kind of obvious, right? Like, they're providing a product and service. The government's paying for it. The government's using it. So I think there's nuance to it. I think there's always nuances to it. But I do think it's going to be one of those things that, we're going to see play out over the coming weeks. And definitely, I think the guy's getting elected. I think it's happening. I wake up every day and listen to your YouTube channel. I'm from East LA. You're the reason I'm getting my family out the trenches. Te amo. Dude, thank you for being here. It's amazing. East LA. I love Los Angeles. We will be there in September. So hopefully you can make it out to the meetup. And yeah, man, thank you for being here every day. Thank you for being here every single day. It's pretty cool, dude. I really appreciate people being here every day. Even if you disagree with me on certain takes and stuff like it's just like the fact that we're all here every day as a community analyzing all this shit. It's cool. It's really cool that we get to do it every single day. And on a day like this, where capitalism starts to really show how amazing capitalism can be, again, on a day like this, you take the number of shares you have and multiply it by the number of dollars the stock is up. And for some people, that's a year's salary in a day. It's 2 months' salary in an hour. I mean, it's the magic of markets. It really, really, really is the magic of markets. Okay, I am never running for president. That's for damn sure. I was born, my parents always joke that I could actually run for president because I was born in the country. No one else was born in America. But yeah, I'm never running for president. Dude, how am I going to do the market open if I'm president? I mean, it would have to be done it has to be done from the Oval Office at that point, right? Dude, at Laguna Beach. Is Laguna Beach in where is Laguna Beach? Is that in Laguna Beach? That's not near West Hollywood, right? Is Laguna Beach near West Hollywood? I don't think that's the case, right? Laguna Beach is it's Venice Beach is part of the Los Angeles and is located southwest of West Hollywood. All right, I think we'll see. We'll see. Wait, is Laguna in Orange County? Is it from Orange County? My sister's older than me. My sister's 4 years older than me. I gotta see. I gotta figure it out. We have a couple months to figure out what we're gonna do, but yeah, we're definitely gonna be doing LA. I mean, I have a couple spots in LA that I've been to many times. So I was thinking of doing it there, but I gotta poll you guys on where you guys actually live in LA. Where is it? Is it near West Hollywood, Orange County? Like, where exactly are most of you in the state? Krishna said, I came to California for work this week. I have great appreciation for people who tune into your stream at 5:45. Yeah, dude, when I have to do the stream at 5:45, when I go to California, it is amazing because your days, I mean, the market open is done by like 8:45. And the day's just starting in New Jersey if you're at 8:45. But it's also like, damn, bro, like 5:45 to open the markets, and it just feels so weird. It's another reason I can't move to LA. Just feels weird, bro. Trading on PST has to feel weird. Like I remember I was getting lunch in California at 1 p.m. and there was some breaking news about Trump like a couple months ago. And I was like, it's lunchtime. Like, what's going on? Like, what's like, it's just so weird. It was random, but it was actually 4 p.m. The market was closed. That's why the news was breaking. It was just, it's so hard to adapt to it. And being in New York is better. Matt says, I bet Chris Patel's in here ignoring us on his vacation. Dude, what are you guys doing tonight? You guys haven't told me anything you've done at all. I have no idea what you, Tevis, and Chris have done in Mexico. I didn't even know Chris was going to Mexico, bro. I thought Matt freaking was in Italy after he tweeted the Italian flag, which is actually the Mexican flag, but it looks like the Italian flag. Yeah, I want to hear about what you guys did. If you guys went out anywhere. And I think Chris said you tweeted you were on the beach, which is good. I've never been a beach guy. Never enjoyed the beach. By the way, it's raining like crazy right now in New Jersey. It started raining out of nowhere. But New Jersey has some good beaches. It's not nothing like Mexico beaches, but you have a great dinner. All right. I love it. I love it. Oh, you're meeting a follower tonight? Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Dude, that's dope, bro. Cashflow Chronicles International. International. I just got $5 of OpenAI and SpaceX stock tokens. Finally, we Europeans enjoy American innovation. Dude, today was the first day everyone wanted to be European in the chat. Everyone's like, all right, we are ready to become Europeans today. After Arnie tweeted out these freaking OpenAI SpaceX tokens that he got. All of us wanted to be European. Dude, literally the asking price on High for OpenAI is $495. So this is actually very accurate to the legit price. Like when this expands to every freaking private company, especially the big ones, this is going to be massive. Absolutely massive. We went to see F1 last night. All right, cool. Looks like you guys had fun. I completely forgot that you guys were freaking going to Mexico. But it looks like you guys did have fun. Evan says the hood news bringing U.S. stocks to Europeans feels huge. Yeah, man, it just feels like it's a different world at this point. They've just executed at a different level, bro. At a different freaking level. Different freaking level. And I have not sold any hood shares for those that are asking. No. Not today, not yesterday. The last time I sold hood shares was I had to sell 1,000 shares to help fund some of my taxes back in March, which sucks because I sold it at 40, but still, last time I actually sold some stock. I don't think we're doing Houston this year. Most likely 2026. I have to figure out Houston, Dallas, Austin, but likely not this year. That's just Texas is a big project. I have to figure out how to navigate that one. But yeah, definitely 2026 we'll do it. I bought Hood calls right after they said they were changing their name from Robinhood Crypto to Robinhood. Dude, literally, like anyone who sold the call for this week at whatever price, 90 to 95, if you had bought it last week, you would be up hundreds of %. That's where call buying works. Now, it doesn't work every single time, but you know, when you have events like this that go, it could have been a sell the news. I mean, we pumped to 87 in the morning and then we went down to 85 when the beginning of the event was rather, you know, not that interesting. They were doing the older scripted stuff. And then they started showing off the actual products. And the market was like, all right, this is happening. This is happening. Can you explain why EU is able to get it first? So remember, we don't really need tokenized stocks in the United States. Like you can just buy stocks on Robinhood. The Europeans, because of the lack of some of the sophisticated infrastructure in regards to settlement and the actual ability to purchase these stocks, that's where the tokenization in Europe, Africa, Asia makes a lot more sense. So the reason they were able to get the private tokens is because the United States has accreditation laws, which are not friendly to the average retail investor. Europe does not have those same laws. So even if they wanted to bring SpaceX or OpenAI privately to Americans, they couldn't, right? Because you have to have a certain net worth to be able to even access that, which is stupid because you can buy Forkcoin, but you can't buy SpaceX. Like it makes no sense. But Europe doesn't have to deal with that. And then the actual tokenized technology, first of all, I think they want to make sure it works in Europe and like it's scalable before fully bringing it to the United States. But number two, it's not really meant for the United States. It's meant for the rest of the world. The United States has a lot of technology that makes it very easy to buy and sell just equities. But so many people messaged me today on Twitter saying like they've been waiting for. I mean, there's this one guy, I think his name is Beck, who said the bureaucracy in regards to brokerages is just ridiculous. And today was one of the first days he was able to finally get out of that and, embrace tokenization. And again, Vlad's been talking about this for a long time. So to see it happen right now is really exciting. Where's this comment? Let me see if I can find the comment. All right, let me see if I can pull it up. But basically, he was just saying like he is officially ready to move on to Hood. Yeah, right here. He said, you don't understand how frustrating this bureaucratic mess is over here. It's a hassle for so many companies, but Vlad is powering through. The demand for a proper product is there, and we're a huge market. So, I mean, there you go. There you go. Eventually, they will bring tokenized private assets to the States. It's just not yet. It's just not yet. And it might take some more time, dude. They have to, this is what Chris was talking about in the morning. They really got to fix these stupid and accredited investor laws. Like, if the whole idea of being an accredited investor is that people aren't sophisticated enough to invest in private companies, why are people sophisticated enough to invest in Fartcoin? Like, you would have to imagine that the meme coins, which are more likely to, I mean, if not more likely to go to zero, they're on the same track as a startup, which has like a 90% chance of failing. So do meme coins. So why should we be able to buy Fartcoin and all these random meme coins over companies that probably have a very small chance of going to zero, like Discord, Stripe, Anduril, SpaceX, etc.? It makes no sense. And I think if in this Trump, this is why Vlad getting friendly with the Trump administration is also really important, because if he can campaign to kind of fix some of these laws and like change it, you're just bringing over an entire new market onto Robinhood as well, which is also very exciting. Yeah, we'll talk about the private companies investing tonight as well. We'll break down everything tonight. It'll be a good episode with Tanner and Roy. I don't think we're talking about anything else other than Hood tonight. I mean, this is one of those episodes where we're going to go pretty deep into some of these announcements. Yeah, it was in real time. It was live. It was not watching a video. It was live. That's true. Meme coins are not securities. That's fair. Unfortunately, SpaceX and Anduril are seen as, securities. But maybe that changes. Maybe that changes. Dude, we're definitely going to do an Australia meetup. I really want to go to Australia. The market open is going to be ridiculous. It's going to be at 11:30 p.m. So we're going to have to see. But Australia's on the list. We got to do Aussie. For sure next year, UK, Germany, and Singapore. I think those three are etched in stone, definitely happening. And then the rest, we're going to try to see what we can do. 95.60 after hours, up 15%. Dude, if we open tomorrow at 95 and just start holding that, and maybe even gap up to 100, I mean, that would be just incredible. I wonder what Kathy did today. She bought a crap ton of Hood last week. I wonder if she bought more, if she sold today. So I'll tweet about it once I find out, but at 8 p.m. Eastern, we should know. Yeah, I got to try grabbing Singapore, bro. I got to see if my investment there makes sense. Why would I switch from Schwab to Hood? I think two things. Number one, they're giving you 1% to leave. So if you got $1 million in Schwab, you get an extra 10,000 to leave. Number two, it's just the user interface, user experience. Obviously, I'm biased, but I think it's world-class on Hood. There's probably better support features on Schwab and other things that are really good on Schwab that you'll be giving up. But I think those things will get better on Hood. If you don't want to wait for those things to get better, then, you have to make that decision. But I just think the user experience is pretty incredible. If I'm free, I'll probably meet you in London. We'll come from Lisbon. Yeah, London, I think I got to plan that one. That's going to be a big one. I know that one. There's a lot of you out there. So I'm going to try to kind of work with some of my connections there and make London happen. But that one also, maybe it could be 1 or 2 hour plane ride for some people to to make it to that one too. Yeah, Hood support is pretty good, dude. It's not that bad. I know you can't call up a guy like you could in Schwab in like 5 minutes and talk to them, but they're AI agents. And then once you get through the AI agent, which is really simple, you just say, hey, I want to speak to a representative. And then they just connect you to a representative. That's it. So it like Hood support has not been bad at all. But, you know, there's some people that literally just want to call a person. Schwab doesn't have E-Trade. Morgan Stanley does. Morgan Stanley bought E-Trade. Not Schwab. I am not getting Robotaxi early access in Austin. I think by the time I go to Austin, which hopefully is towards the end of the year, or even Texas early next year, I think it'll be like available to anyone to get access to. The early access was mainly for like the Tesla influencers that needed to use it. But I think in like the coming weeks, it's going to be available to everyone. So you're not going to need the invite. Do you feel comfortable holding all your investments in Robinhood? Yes. Yeah. I mean, first of all, you have all the standard insurances, but also it's just like, dude, they have $6 billion in cash. It's going to be very hard to see them going bankrupt. And I think Vlad's learned a lot from the GameStop situation, and we haven't had a situation like that happen again. Last time, dude, May 2024, when GameStop was running, Robinhood was the only brokerage. And I know this because I was looking at a tweet I put out last year around this time. Schwab, Fidelity, all those brokerages were down that day. Robinhood wasn't. And Vlad tweeted a picture with a cat with sunglasses because of Roaring Kitty, right? And Vlad was he basically was implying, hey, we're ready for any challenges. You know, this is not the same Robinhood of 2021. So I really don't feel scared to hold money in Hood. Vegas meetup is October. Vegas meetup is October. All right, cool. That is it. We are done for the day. We'll be back in a few hours with Tanner and Roy. I just clapped, which means I'm going to be here for another 20 minutes, but actually I should probably get out of here. Congrats again to everyone in Hood. It's been amazing, amazing, amazing journey. It is just incredible to do it with everybody else. And yeah, dude, it's one of those things where you just again, I don't know how many of these I personally will find throughout my lifetime. I don't know, even if you do find these, how many of them turn into a journey where thousands and thousands of people across the world come together to be able to embrace. And so when you find them, I think you cherish them, you cherish the memories. And, 30 years from now, all of us are going to be remembering when Hood did its 10X in front of us. Obviously when Palantir did its 20X in front of us, like it's pretty freaking cool, dude. It's pretty freaking cool. And by the way, the Miami meetup, I'm putting it right here in the chat for the forum for those that want to see it and sign up. It's just, it's really special. It's really freaking special. And I try to not underestimate the exciting parts of this because, again, life is about the journey. It's about the process, and like making a lot of money on the stock is whatever, but making money on the stock in a real company that's legit, that you believe in their mission for Hood. I mean, I would not be introduced to financial markets without them. For that mission to be extrapolated the way it's been, and now having the access to achieve, the entire world as their market. I mean, so many Europeans today saying, finally, like this is what we've been waiting for. It's just incredible. And getting to do it with the community again, it's rare. It's really rare. Market cap of 82 billion on Hood. It's really rare. The stock was at 8 billion market cap with 6 billion in cash, December of 2023. So I just think it's really cool to have this journey with everyone. And again, the other thing that I think is really interesting about this, and just like really special, is like everyone's going to remember where they were seeing these moments. Like I will never forget where I was on S&P inclusion. I'll never forget where I was on Hood's potential S&P inclusion at the airport last month. Never going to forget where I was when Palantir hit 100, right? Like it's just like, these are memories that are etched in stone. A lot of us get to enjoy the process as it plays out. And, very, 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 very grateful that everyone was here. And that used the stream kind of as the community to come together. Basically always here. Exactly. Basically always here on the stream. Exactly. There you go. I love it. Thank you, everybody. Love you all. Amazing community. I think that's the fourth clap, so I got to go. Robinhood 95. We'll be back at 9:30 to talk more deeper. Of course, I'm going to end it on a grammatical error because why not? Why not? Just like the desert menu. Why not? If you don't know what the desert menu is, go to the end of the market open. You'll see what the desert menu is. Love you all. Means the world. I'll see you guys later tonight. And I think the story for Robinhood is really just beginning. And quite frankly, if it's just beginning, then this is a story that is going to be very, very special to analyze over the coming years. So that's it. Love you all. See you guys later tonight. Bye, everyone.